great day to be an Eagle. One more time for the greatest team in
All right, Eagle Nation, Matt here from Gotta Talk. If you've been listening to us for a while, you know that we have built somewhat of a legacy where if there is big news that is kind of on the cusp of breaking within Georgia Southern football, and we record an episode, you can bet good money that that news will break within 24 or 48 hours, and in most cases before we even release the recorded episode. And the latest chapter here is that Georgia Southern has named the new defensive coordinator. It is Mike Mutz. He returns to Statesboro after stints at Tulane under Willie Fritz for 7 years, and most recently 3 years at Stephen F. Austin FCS school as the defensive coordinator there. The number 2 defense in all of FCS. They were just in the playoffs. So Cody and I did record an episode on Saturday, December 13th. It is December 14th when this news broke. So what we're going to do, Cody can't join me for this. I'm just going to give some real quick thoughts on this hire, just kind of instant reaction style, and then we'll just cut into the episode that we recorded. It's a long one. It's 2 hours and 30 minutes, one of the longest ones we've ever done. We don't talk about the defensive coordinator. I have a PSA kind of in there. I'm just kind of warning everyone, look, there's a reason why we're not doing it because the news hadn't broke yet. But we focus on the bowl game, the Birmingham Bowl against App State, previewing App State for the second time this season, talking about the bowl itself, and then spend quite a bit just kind of talking about the state of college football with 2 Group of 5 teams, one of which being conference peer in James Madison, making the college football playoff. And, is that ultimately a good or bad thing moving forward for the Group of 5? Might it push forward, a Group of 5 playoff? Cody and I debate that and what that might look like and our thoughts on it and what the kind of ideal state of postseason play for all FBS teams would look like. So really good episode. Stay tuned for that. But here's kind of the instant reaction on Mike Mutz. So again, he comes from Stephen F. Austin. He led one of the top defenses in all of FCS. They were number 2 in total defense. They got a number 7 national seed, returning to the NCAA Division I championship for the first time since 2001. They spent a ton of time in the backfield. They had, I believe, 122 tackles for loss, and an 11 game, had an 11 game winning streak. They were, I want to say, top 10 nationally, yes, in sacks, with 3 sacks per game. So all these numbers are double or more than double than what the Brandon Bailey Georgia Southern defense put up this year. Yes, different levels, all of that, but a ton of production from this team. And overall, I think I can speak for Cody here because we've certainly have talked about this. This was kind of our guy. So I think this is a great hire. I had done some research weeks ago when we thought the inevitable was going to happen and we were going to part ways with Brandon Bailey. I scoured all the stats and rankings in FCS and try to kind of work backwards there just to figure out who are these guys? Obviously most of them aren't household names to a lot of people. And knowing that, the FCS route was probably the best way to go because it was going to get kind of a more up-and-comer coach, but someone still with a lot of success and experience, and someone that, frankly, we could afford, right? Where if you went the FBS route, you're going with inexperience again. with a guy either with very little defensive coordinator experience or none at all. Like you saw with like a Will Harris, accomplished position coach, but never been a play caller. So I'm glad we went the FCS route, and I think honestly this was the best pick if from that level, right? And he does have history here, just 2 years under Willie Fritz and 14 and 15, but those were, really strong defenses. He was the linebackers coach here. He spent 7 years under Willie Fritz at Tulane, was a part of some historic teams there, was a part of the team that beat USC in the New Year's Six Bowl. And yeah, he's been super successful at Stephen F. Austin, and really kind of helped turn them around. Yeah, I'm excited about this. That was the main thing. We just wanted someone with play caller experience, and he brings that. He is an older guy compared to Bailey. He's got nearly 30 years of coaching experience. That was another requirement. Try to really strike that balance, not necessarily get one of those like journeyman guys that's in their late 50s or even 60s, that's been to a ton of schools, but maybe not had a lot of success. I think this is the perfect balance. Like he's not super young, but he's not super old. And he has been successful everywhere he's been. And the teams he's been a part of have been successful, been a part of some turnarounds, and he certainly is going to have his work cut out for him at Georgia Southern, taking over one of the worst FBS defenses. So even just like a modest improvement of, bringing us up into the top 100, maybe even the top like 90 or 80, something like that in year one, I think would go a long way. I think, you're winning minimum of 1 to maybe even 3 more games just with that, assuming of course that our offense doesn't take a step back, and definitely need to see more out of them as well. But the improved defense will help that. So, yeah, they were, let's see here. Yeah, Stephen F. Austin had an 11-3 record this year. They won the Southland Conference title. They advanced to the FCS playoff quarterfinals. They did get beat, yeah, in that game they played yesterday, and they got beat pretty soundly. But let's see. Yeah, by Montana State, 44-28. But the Montana and Dakota teams, of course, run FCS football. So I wouldn't put a ton of stock into that, but with the season this year, I mean, they played Willie Fritz in Houston. They lost that one 27 to nothing. So couldn't get anything going offensively, but did hold them to under 30 points. And Houston had a really good year this year. They, let's see, then lost to Abilene Christian 28-20. But then the defense really kind of showed up in the remainder of the schedule, really, of the regular season. So they shut out Sol Ross State. Don't know who that, they're out of Texas apparently, 63 to nothing. So that was kind of their like cupcake game. But Cal Poly's got a pretty good team, 35-17 there. Held McNeese State to 17 points. Held Incarnate Word, who was ranked, to 17 points. Nichols to 7 points. East Texas A&M to 21 points. Houston Christian to 3 points. Lamar, a ranked Lamar team, to 15 points. Northwestern State to 14 points. Then they turned around and beat Abilene Christian, who was ranked number 13 at the time in the first round of the FCS playoffs, 41-34, and then lost to Montana State 44-28. So, yeah, I mean, held a ton of teams to under 10 points, even more teams under 20 points. this year, and I think we would give anything for that at Georgia Southern at this point. So again, different level of competition. We understand that, but I feel really good about this hire. I think all things considered, it was probably the best that Helton could do. And yeah, time will tell if it works out. You never know how these things are gonna shake out, but I think the fact that he's spent some time in Statesboro, had a lot of success there, learned under a great defensive mind and someone like Willie Fritz. And then has proven that he can be really successful at the kind of top level of FCS. Yeah, I feel good about it. I think he's possibly the best we possibly could have gotten. So with that, yeah, I think that's it for now. Obviously, in our next episode, whenever that is, either right before the bowl game, probably right after the bowl game, and we'll have our reaction to the Birmingham Bowl. Cody and I can spend some more time, obviously be able to do some more research, and yeah, and discuss this hire more in depth, and just how it could potentially translate into success next year defensively and overall as a team. So looking forward to that. But yeah, for now, we'll go ahead and cut into the episode we recorded. So again, talking about the Birmingham Bowl, talking about the state of college football. It's a long one. So buckle up, get cozy, and hope you enjoy it. As always, Hail Southern. All right, Eagle Nation, welcome back to another episode of Gotta Talk, your favorite Georgia Southern football podcast. I'm Matt, joined as always by Cody. And this episode, Cody, is our bowl preview episode. Georgia Southern headed to the J-Lab Birmingham Bowl on December 29th. It's the only college football game of the day, the Monday after Christmas. It is a 2:00 Eastern kickoff, broadcast on ESPN nationwide. And the opponent, Cody, is one that we know very, very well. Our arch rival in App State, our East Sunbelt Division foe in App State. Obviously, a lot kind of transpired to get us to that point where we were facing App State. So we'll talk about that. We'll preview the matchup itself, but also just kind of talk about the bowl game as a whole. Talk about kind of the selection process, just kind of the state of bowl games in college football and where everything's at, because it's been just a crazy postseason already.
Yes,
and then we'll also kind of shift gears a little bit and do something that we don't do often on this show, where obviously we focus mostly on Georgia Southern football and only Georgia Southern football, only really talk about group of 5 teams and, conference foes when we're facing them, right, in previews and things like that. But I think it's worth, talking about just, again, the state of college football, where we're at with not one, but 2 group of 5 teams making the college football playoff this year.
What?
That should be Tulane. I know.
Be illegal.
It should be illegal. Yeah. Find a way to prevent that from happening. So yeah, obviously a lot going on in the greater world of college football. And yeah, 2 group of 5 teams, one of which is a peer institution in James Madison on the Sun Belt Conference, 12 seed facing Oregon in the first round of the playoff. Sending the college football world into a tizzy, right?
Yes.
Of how can this be? How can teams, blue bloods like Texas, Notre Dame, even BYU and even upstarts like Vanderbilt, like how dare you take their spot? So we will talk about that. We will talk about this whole proposed group of 5 playoff and what I don't even know Cody's opinion on it. I have strong opinions on it, but we will discuss that and just what the future looks like.
I think what will be cool about that conversation is that folks will see sort of what we talk behind the scenes and sort of how we craft our thoughts together before we come to a show. Because usually we always talk about what we do or what we were going to say or what and how to plan it out. But I think that'll be an interesting conversation to have, because I think we do have some differing opinions. So it'll be
Okay,
good to
interesting. Yeah.
it'll be good to see how we mesh everything together.
How we mesh. Yeah. We
Yeah.
more than, I mean, yeah, for those that have listened to us for a while, I mean, more often than not, I feel like we're fairly aligned on our takes, but
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be interesting if we're off on this one, because I have very strong opinions of
Well, so does everybody.
yay or nay. Yeah,
Yeah.
to it. And again, it's not a new thing, but obviously 2 group of 5 teams making the playoffs. Others are claiming as, stealing the spots of these blue bloods. It's kind of expediting the conversation, right? It's kind of pushing it forward. So yeah, we'll get into that, but let's start with this bowl matchup. We'll welcome the Gotta Talk once again. We do thank our sponsors, our title sponsor, Can Cut Tools. They are running a special right now. I should have had this queued up. If I don't get it in time, we can I'll pick it up at the end. 25% off of your entire order. I don't believe there's any special code there. It'll just be applied at checkout. But yeah, that's gonna run here through the all month. So the entire
nice.
month of December, not just through Christmas, but all the way to New Year's. 25% off your entire order. Again, premium stuff there, premium drill bits and cutting tools, for the serious kind of hobbyist or for the trades people out there. So definitely, if it applies to you, go check them out at cancut.com. If you know someone, a family or friend that it would apply to, let them know. Tell them Gotta Talk sent you and get 25% off your order. You can check them out on Instagram and their website, cancut.com, KNKUT.com. Our secondary sponsor, Section 103, apparel for men, women, and children. They have an entire Georgia Southern collection that they're adding to all the time. They just had their big Black Friday special there, Cody, where you got 20% off. That is now a thing of the past, but you can still save 10% by using code GATATALK. That's GATATALK at checkout. And it's section103.com. We thank them. So Birmingham Bowl. Let's talk about it. So I guess let's just start with, I didn't even have this one on my radar, to be honest with you, Cody. We knew, at least going in, we had 9 teams out of the Sun Belt that were bowl eligible. Of course, now that is 10 teams because App State gets in, and they are 5-7. So 10 out of 14 teams, which is great. Not the 12 teams that we had a couple years ago, but still really, really good. Obviously there's, I think, 5 bowl games that were like
5 direct tie-ins.
And then we have like kind of the secondary ones that we're a part of.
Yes.
So like the Frisco, Texas Bowl, the New Mexico Bowl, Boca Raton Bowl, a couple others. And we've seen our conference brethren, right, be a part of those bowl games in the past. So we're like, yeah, maybe like Boca Raton, something like that. That'd be cool. Just something different. But yeah, the Birmingham Bowl, I would say wasn't really on my radar. This is a bowl game.
Usually ACC, SEC matchup.
SEC, yeah. Vandy and Georgia Tech participated in this game last year. And it's a pretty big bowl game. It's a pretty prestigious bowl game. So let's not lose. Yeah, great trophy that William at Southern Exchange educated me about. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I
Cody.
didn't.
Yeah, so it's I'll have to queue it up. I don't have it on here, but yeah, it's after a Roman god, I believe.
Oh, heresy.
Yeah, so I will have that up here. Okay, yeah, so William goes, not to be that guy, but the trophy is awesome, and it represents Vulcan, the Roman god of fire and forge. So they have an actual statue, full-size statue on atop downtown Birmingham. I don't think he said where, maybe the Capitol or something like that. But there's a big statue in downtown Birmingham, and it's the largest cast iron statue in the world.
Oh,
which is pretty cool. Yeah. So miniature replica of the Vulcan statue. His rear end is exposed for the world to see. So bringing new meaning to GATA or GATA. And yeah, we literally can do that. Can do our mantra in this bowl game and bring
Yes.
home evidence of that, possibly. So yeah, it's a pretty prestigious bowl game. Yes, it's in Alabama. I know we have some PTSD there, mainly for the capital city south of Birmingham and Montgomery for the 2022 trip. But yeah, I think this is a very different bowl game. The
Yes.
payout is very good. As estimated to be around $1.37 million, Cody.
Mhm.
So we get that, and then it's per team, right? So we get that. App State gets that. All stays in the conference. That's awesome.
Mhm.
By comparison, the Camellia Bowl now, I forget the name of it now, but Troy and
Salute to
Jacksonville State.
veteran,
Yeah,
something
it's a
like
Salute
that.
to Veterans Bowl. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And Troy and Jacksonville State are playing in that one. $300,000 is the payout to that.
Now,
So that
is that
just
to
shows
each
you, yeah.
team, or does everything go into a pot for the conference and then they divvy it up
It's
evenly amongst the 10 teams?
according to Google searching and AI, and so take that for what you will.
Okay.
And maybe it's changed. Maybe there's some kind of caveat because we're not an ACC or SEC team, right? We're not
That's
a
true.
Vanderbilt or Georgia Tech. So maybe there's some caveat there of you get a percentage of that. I don't know, because we were not the first choice. App State certainly was not the first choice. We'll
Nope.
get into that in a second, but yeah, that was a payout. I believe that was within the ballpark of what Vandy and Georgia Tech got last year. And
Okay.
it is per team. It is per team. So, obviously very expensive ordeal to, attend a bowl game, send the whole team and staff and support staff and all the things out there, get the hotel, feed the kids, all the stuff. It adds up quick.
Yes, it does.
Obviously, Birmingham, super accessible for us. It's going to be a bus ride, not a plane trip. That saves a ton of money. Obviously, still staying there, you stay longer than you would for a traditional road trip. You have kind of events all week and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, if it is in that ballpark, I mean, we're still probably coming home with a decent chunk of change,
Yeah.
which is nice, especially for a 6-6 team and a group of 5 team that can use any help it can get.
Yes.
To hopefully you can invest that money where you want. I don't know how all
Some
that works.
folks want to invest it in certain areas.
Yes. So obviously, yeah, you have the NIL situation, you have, coach buyout funds, you have all these things, but yeah, we don't get a say in that, and I don't even know how much the administration gets a say in it, but the school does get that money. So
Okay.
so that's great. Again, it's on ESPN, which most of the games are. Some ESPN2, some are random ones are like CBS or whatever. But it's the only game that day. My only honest gripe about the whole thing, which is being nitpicky, I think that the day itself, like the date, is great. I mean, it's the 29th. It's
Yeah.
after Christmas, not before Christmas. And it is a Monday. It's fine. A lot of people are off, right? A lot of people are off that
Yeah.
week in between.
I was going to say, to me, a lot of people are off. It's better than doing it a weekday before Christmas, where a lot of folks don't take off.
Or like
I
2
feel-
days before Christmas, like we
Yeah.
saw with, yeah.
Because I think some of the first few bowl games this year are going to be like on Tuesday, Wednesday. I think like Arkansas State's like on Wednesday or something like that. So
Yeah.
I feel like there should be a lot of eyeballs with it being the only college game going on at the time. And it's sort of like the lead into Monday Night Football.
Yeah. So that's, yeah, thank you for reminding me, Cody. So like PSA here, we are recording this on Saturday, the night of Saturday, December 13th, the day of the Army Navy game. That was a great game, by the way. And a bunch of FCS playoff games. We have not named a DC yet. At this point, when recording this, yeah, if you followed us for a while, this is going to set everything in motion.
Yes.
So if like we had candidates and we had finalists, if Helton was on the fence about anything, he's going to wake up in the middle of the night and be like, I know who the guy is.
Exactly.
Something's telling me I need to make this hire tomorrow morning. So, it's probably going to happen on Sunday the 14th or on Monday early next week. So we won't talk about the DC at all because we don't know who it's going to be. There's a lot of speculation out there, but
a lot of rumors that have been floated.
A lot of rumors and stuff, but I don't I think we could get into those rumors once we actually name the guy.
Yes.
If it ends up being one of those rumors, obviously we can talk about it. If it ends up not being one of those rumors, I think we could still talk about it. Of like,
And
hey,
we've
like,
addressed some of those rumors on our X account already.
yes, we have.
So
yes.
if you don't follow us there, go follow us there, and you'll see sort of our opinions on. I know one for sure, maybe two. I can't remember, but definitely the latest one that just came out. We've definitely
Vic
said our
Cabral we
piece
talked.
on.
Vic Cabral we talked about. So if that ends up being the guy, that will be an episode in itself because we
Yes.
have opinions. But yeah, so we will have probably a dedicated episode depending on the timing of that announcement, probably before the bowl game, because again, it's the 29th.
Yeah.
So if we had one of the earlier bowl games, maybe we would package that together. But assuming that we announce this DC hire,
I would
sooner
figure
than
that it
later,
has to be soon.
You'd
With
think.
the transfer portal opening up at the beginning of the year, and then us trying
I
to
think
sign
so.
transfers,
Get somebody in, start recruiting,
Yes.
start retaining guys. Yeah, absolutely.
it has
You
to be
think-
soon.
I mean, I could see maybe if like you had one of these early bowl games to waiting after the bowl game, but I don't see how you could wait till after
No, I don't think
the
so.
29th. That's just not a
No.
long enough runway.
Not when the portal opens up. What, January 2nd? So
Yeah.
it's like 4 or 5 days later. Yeah, I don't think we
and,
can wait
and
that
I mean,
long.
and it's slim pickings too, because like you got guys that are like they're already established, they kind of want to stay, like they don't, so like the window's kind of closing on it. Sure, there's some shakeups, obviously the Michigan thing and all that, but it's going to have trickle down effects. And I
Yeah.
don't think it's going to trickle down all the way to us. So yeah,
We'll have to see about that because that Michigan scenario is crazy in of itself. But
it's insane.
you
But
gotta,
I
you
don't
gotta see who they hire as their head coach, and then that's going to sort a whole nother round of
It
events that go off.
will, but I don't think, if they take DeBoer, I don't think we're getting some defensive assistant of Alabama to be a defense coordinator.
No.
Maybe, but like, yeah. So that's my point, is like it would take a lot of degrees of separation to get to us. But yeah, okay. So that's that housekeeping note. But again, this bowl game, yeah. So it's Birmingham Bowl, new sponsor this year, and J Lab. I didn't know much about them, Cody, to be honest.
Have no
But
idea.
They're a headphone company. I actually watched the press conference that they held yesterday. So Friday, the 12th. Dowell Loggins, head coach at App State, was there. Clay Helton, of course, was there. The commissioner of the bowl game, all that was there, and then the CEO of this company. So they're kind of like Skull Candy, like the headphone company. No,
I'm not
you're not like
familiar
super
with
into
the
tech.
with-
Okay, like Beats.
Yes.
Like, yeah, okay.
Yes.
So it's like a more like budget Beats essentially.
Okay.
So it's like
yeah,
high quality.
Yeah.
Like
Now I know.
yeah. So like high quality audio, headphones, over the ear headphones, all that. But for like reasonable price points, they have like
Yes.
ones that are hundreds of dollars, but they also have ones that are like $50.
Okay.
So and yeah, I mean, the CEO honestly was like, awesome, go watch. You don't have to watch like Helton and Loggins. They said all the things that you'd expect them to say. But they've got some cool things planned for this bowl game. So the one thing that they're doing is called Celebration Hit Button. So they're installing 150 speakers and lights. And players from both teams get to choose their personal celebration songs. So supposedly, like everyone on the team, I don't know if it's just the skill players or if like the rare offensive lineman gets a touchdown, but like they all have like basically like their walkout music in baseball.
Okay.
They get their celebration song. If they do a quote unquote epic play, like a forced turnover or touchdown, the sideline will press this giant like button and it triggers 150 speakers and lights that will sync with the player's song.
Oh, nice.
So it creates just like a party
That's pretty
atmosphere. I'm like, that is cool, right? So like, so that should be fun. And then for each celebration hit, JLab will donate $5,000 and up to 5,000 headphones to the Children's Miracle Network hospitals, including the Children's of Alabama in Birmingham. So that's
nice.
super cool too.
That is cool.
Right. So, and I'm sure the players will probably all get headphones, they all get like swag and giveaways and stuff. So I'm sure they'll get all kinds of stuff like that. So yeah, it's cool. I think, you see some of these, we've been in like the Montgomery Bowl where they didn't even have a sponsor, right? It was like the city of Montgomery or whatever. It was
Yeah.
there was no title sponsor. So it's cool having one that's like, I don't know, like a more fun brand, I guess, than what you see. So that's cool. Exposure's good again. The payout's good. So yeah, don't hate on this bowl, I guess, is my take
I
here.
can't see. Yeah, to me, I'm just the bowl itself, and I feel like this is a really good bowl for us to have landed in. Outside of the drama that went on Bowl Selection Sunday, the
Right.
bowl itself, I felt like was wow. This is a really good bowl for us to get into. Even if
Again,
we were
Troy is in the Camellia Bowl or
Yes.
the Salute to Veterans Bowl, right? We didn't want to be in that. They were the runner up in the Sun Belt,
correct.
right? They won the West, and they're in that bowl. I think we got the better, end of the deal there.
Yes.
So yeah, it's cool just being in a different bowl game. But yeah, this is one that with the way everything shook out and all the opt outs and all the stuff, it's something that we might not ever see again. So let's just like cherish it. Let's make the most of it. And hopefully put on a good show,
Yes.
for, the sponsor and for City of Birmingham and all that. So cool. Well, yeah, so that's that. Selection process. So I think probably most people kind of know the story here, so I won't spend a ton of time on it. But it got to what's interesting, Cody, is obviously it landed on App State. You had like 7 teams, I believe, that supposedly, allegedly opted out. A lot of Power 4 teams in the mix there. Auburn, right, which would have been basically a home game for them. Would have been a huge crowd. Florida State, Baylor, Rutgers, Kansas, Central Florida, and then Temple, kind of the lone non.
But
and there was other one. Yeah. Temple supposedly
did not turn it down. They just didn't answer it in time, which had me question when you get down to these ARP teams, right? When you don't have enough 6-win teams, what exactly is that process like? Because in my head, I'm thinking, if Temple's ranked 8th and App State's ranked 9th, shouldn't you give Temple at least the opportunity to answer you before you move on to App State?
Yeah, you should have like 12 hours or 24 hours or something. It's a Sunday.
But that doesn't seem to be the case. It was like, we gave you 5 minutes, now we're going to App.
We called you. Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't.
We sent you a text, you didn't respond fast enough. Yeah.
Exactly.
What do you mean you were with the family? Yeah, like, I mean, it's it's kind of crazy how the whole thing went down. And like, I mean, I get needing to lock it in, but I don't know why they couldn't have given it like 24 hours. Because the game is the 29th.
I think 24 hours is too long because you want to try to get everything wrapped up that Sunday so that you can go ahead and get everything.
I think you could have waited till Monday morning. Again, with the game on the 29th, if it was one of the first games, I get it.
Yeah.
With it being later in the bowl season, I think you had more time.
Me as a fan on Sunday was not wanting to wait until Monday to find out who our opponent was.
No, but like you as a fan, okay, we went to the Birmingham Bowl, prestigious bowl, all the things we just talked about. How much does the opponent weigh your judgment of whether or not you're going to attend the game?
It doesn't.
Okay, there you go. So I would say for Georgia Southern, it doesn't really matter. Like we could have been playing Buford High School or we could have been playing Auburn, and
we got
like
close to Buford.
We got close to Buford. And yeah, I mean, so if that doesn't matter that much, I mean, sure,
but
obviously
it mattered
for the opponent,
to me. And I think for a lot of our fans, because everybody else had already known who their opponent was. It was literally the last bowl trying to find one opponent to play us.
Yeah.
And so it was just sort of one of those, well, who do we want to go to the dance with? And I want
to know how we got there. Because here's the thing. We were bowl eligible at 6-6.
Yeah.
App State, obviously not. All those other teams I just ran through were not 5-7. Other 5-7 teams made bowl games, right?
Yes.
So you had like Mississippi State, I believe. I think they're 5-7, and Rice made a bowl game. Why weren't we playing one of those teams?
I guess because those other bowls had asked them, those teams.
How were those bowls able to ask those teams? But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and then And then you had 2 transition teams, FCS to FBS transition teams in Missouri State and Delaware. Delaware is playing a Sunbelt team. Forget
Is
who.
it Louisiana or is it Arkansas
It might
State?
be Arkansas State.
No, Arkansas State's playing Missouri
not.
State.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, there you go.
I think Louisiana's playing Delaware.
There you go. So 2 Sunbelt teams, right? So like, they get it. Like, I don't know. I feel like the pecking order was weird because it's like you should, like, we qualified. Missouri State and Delaware had great seasons, for a transition team. They, in my opinion, belong in the mix, but they, in my opinion, should like wait in line and, and then same with those other 5 and 7 teams. I don't know.
It seemed like to me that the order for at least Sunbelt teams, right? You had them all ranked 1 through 9 originally for those who had 6 wins. It seemed like we were number 9 to get selected.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
and
Birmingham. We were the last kid picked in dodgeball.
Yeah, and so Birmingham, for whatever reason, I guess because there wasn't enough ACC and SEC teams.
Yeah,
probably because Notre Dame opted out.
That was the trickle-down effect there.
Yep. And so Birmingham is left with, we'll just take whoever 2 teams we can find.
Right.
So they put us there.
Because they start siphoning off from below, right? We're not saying that Notre Dame wasn't going to be in the Birmingham Bowl.
Correct.
They were probably going to be in the Citrus Bowl.
They were going to be in the one that BYU's in. That's who they were going to play. It was supposed to be Notre Dame and BYU.
Got it.
And then Tech took that spot. And so it bumped all the ACC teams.
Oh, in the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Yes.
They're going to be in the Pop-Tarts Bowl. So like you have basically all the Orlando Bowls, right? Like the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, Pop-Tarts Bowl, Deuce Mayo Bowl up in North Carolina. All those are like the second-tier prestigious Power 4 bowls.
Yes.
And then you have a trickle down because then they're like, okay, I'll go take whoever's going to be in like the famous Idaho Bowl or like the Sun Bowl or Tony the Tiger Bowl. And so
I think somehow or another, Birmingham got stuck almost at the very end of selecting who they want to take.
Which stinks for them. I mean, that, because I'm sure they invested just as much as many of these other bowl games in this. And it's like, oh, we get stuck, frankly, with a 6-6 Georgia Southern team and then a 5-7 App State team. When you had Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech last year.
So, which I think was a decent game. I can't remember, but I think it ended up being
It was. The weather was bad, but I think it was a good game.
Yeah.
So I feel for them, but I don't know. I think, so I still have a lot of lingering questions there. Cause I'm like, how does that happen? I get the Notre Dame thing and the trickle down effect. I get Iowa State and Kansas State opting out and the effect maybe that had, but because, a lot of these bowls do have kind of their eye in their prom date, right? Way earlier in the week.
Yeah. Well, I think Iowa State and Kansas State opted out because of the head coaching changes that were going on there.
They did.
Notre Dame obviously got their feelings hurt, which is why they opted out.
They took their ball and went home.
Yes. To me, if you are a bowl eligible team and you opt out of the bowl season, that should come with some sort of a fine or some sort of a
fine or a penalty, because those are 2 very different things, right? A fine hurts a Georgia Southern for opting out, which I don't think we ever would.
Yeah, I think
but
Iowa
a fine to Notre Dame is nothing.
Kansas State, I think the conference fined both those schools like $500,000. I think for something like Notre Dame, and again, I don't know how you would really set the rules on this, but I don't think you should be allowed to opt out of it the way that Notre Dame did. I don't know if a postseason ban next year is the right rule for that, but there's got to be some sort of consequence because you just can't be upset and just be like, oh, well, we didn't, we didn't get, so we're out.
It will kill the bowl system as we know it. And, and for those like bubble teams that like thought they were going to be in and
now I have no problem with a 5-7 team who's not even thinking they're going to get to a bowl game, all of a sudden they get asked. And then,
I get it.
You have teams whose kids have already left to go home, or coaches that are on the recruiting trail that have left to go, 3-4 states over. That I understand. But for But for like Notre Dame and even Iowa State and Kansas State, just because your head coach leave to me does not mean that you should skip out on your bowl game.
No, I mean, you have all these other teams. And
Exactly.
I mean, Tulane and James Madison are competing now. Yes, their coaches are sticking around, but
but not
Ole Miss.
Not Ole
Yeah,
Miss.
exactly. Yeah. So yeah, it's very, very common for these teams, especially the ones that are higher ranked, and in the bigger bowl games or the college football playoff to not have a head coach.
Correct.
And yeah, so it sets a dangerous precedent when you can just like be a crybaby, take your ball and go home. And I feel like there has to be some punishment. And for the Notre Dames of the world with endless money, I don't think a fine is going to do it.
No, I don't think a fine's going to do it. But I don't know if a postseason ban the following year.
That could be extreme too.
It can be extreme.
I don't know. Or like maybe, I don't know, maybe some like seeding thing or something. I don't know. Like,
yeah, I have no clue either.
Like
or if you do, you can't be
ranked higher than. Well, that would be the ban, right?
Well,
like,
you can still play in a bowl.
Oh yeah. That's what I would do.
You
could be in a bowl next year, but yeah, if you opt out of a bowl, it would be extreme. And I could see like if you opt out of a bowl game, where you're impacting not just yourself, but like a lot of other programs, even like Georgia Southern, that you're ineligible for the college football playoff the following year.
Yeah.
That would be enough.
Yeah, I think
that's
so.
extreme, but it would be enough to get them to play the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Now the players can opt out. If you have draft stock, if you're in the transfer portal, blah, 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 if you're nursing an injury and don't want to make it worse, you can opt out. And I would just put that on the team. That's just on the team, and you just figure it out, whatever. If you like want to go out there with your third team in the Pop-Tarts Bowl, so be it. But yeah, I think as a program, there needs to be forced accountability, where it's like, look, this is the system. We have a 12-team playoff as it stands today. The rules are the rules. There was no funny business with like James Madison and Tulane getting in. They followed the rules. They got in. Notre Dame's not in a conference. They didn't, and them's the breaks, it's just, So, but anyway, so I would love to know more about, the selection process of the bowl games, because I think it's always been a little secretive, even like in the Sun Belt, right? There's been a lot of questions of like, what's the pecking order? Like, for a while it was like the New Orleans Bowl. And then I think for like 1 year it was like the Cure Bowl. And, so there's still just a lot of lack of transparency, I think, around the whole thing. So I would love to just, for that to be more open and just know how the sausage is made there. So, all being said, I think it worked out in our favor as much as, and I'd love to get your opinion on this, Cody, because we haven't really talked about it. As much as I like the idea of playing someone new, right, that we don't have, haven't played one this year already.
Correct.
Or as in our conference, but even like a team we haven't played in the past or haven't played in many years or don't have on the schedule. We did just announce a road game against Auburn in a couple years. So obviously if we played them, that'd be a preview. We've played Auburn in the past, but we haven't played Rutgers, right? We haven't played Baylor.
Temple.
We haven't played Temple. Yeah, we haven't played Florida State in a long, long, long time.
Yeah.
Central Florida haven't played in a long time. Undefeated against Central Florida, but haven't played them in a long time. That's a home and home matchup that I've been dreaming of for a long time, just with proximity right to Orlando. So a lot of those games I think would have been fun. I think a couple of those games would have been competitive from our end, like a Temple, maybe a Central Florida, Rutgers, maybe even a Baylor. I think we could potentially compete with. Auburn probably not, but not that defense. but yeah, so the idea of that, right, again, it's a kind of a P4 bowl game in the Birmingham Bowl. Let's go up against, a 5-7 P4 team and see how we fare. That was exciting to me for a short moment there.
Yeah.
And then, decline. Here comes App State. I'll be your Huckleberry. and put the ball down in a Walmart parking lot and we'll play,
Let's go.
as their head coach said, and let's go. And it was a roller coaster at first when I'm like, really? And I think a lot of our fans were like, really, like upset, like this is what we're doing. But like the more I thought about it, I'm like, this is kind of cool. Like this is like the epitome of college football.
I was so when it got down to app, I was actually pretty excited about it, like immediately, because it is our biggest rival. There's a ton of history there.
Yeah.
And what's the one game that we've never really played them in? A bowl game.
A bowl game.
So
it adds to kind of the legacy, because that's right. Because like playing Ohio, Buffalo, Sam Houston, Conference USA or a MAC team, it's like, all right, whatever. We'll probably never play them again, or if we do, it'll be in another bowl game in a couple of years. And it's just like, there's no history there. There's no hatred there. I have nothing against Ohio or Buffalo, and it's just like, while I was upset at the outcomes of those games, especially like Sam Houston last year and how we played, feeling like we were the better team going into it, I don't know. Yeah, it's just, you don't have that bitter taste in your mouth long after you just kind of get over it.
Yeah.
It's like, man, there's a lot on the line. Like, it's not just a bowl trophy and not even just bragging rights. It's just like, you want to beat their rear ends every single time, no matter where it is.
And and also to have the opportunity to do it twice in one season. I mean, my goodness, going into the off season and just having that over them would be fantastic.
Especially based on where we've been, right? Because the two programs, I wouldn't say we're necessarily like going up to the right, but they're kind of going the opposite way. We're a little bit plateaued, I would say. But we've been waiting for, them to make a head coach hire that didn't work out. And so far, it hasn't worked out great for them. That their fan base has already kind of been in a tizzy on the selection, and just how the year's gone, and just all the stuff, recruiting and everything else. And so it would be a huge feather in our cap to beat them not once but twice. And get a bowl trophy out of it.
Yes.
Which someone suggested, do we use the Vulcan trophy, right, as our rivalry trophy moving forward, which I love, only if we win. Only if we win. But I actually love that, because there's not a rivalry trophy in Deeper Than Hate. And that's a bad, trophy.
Yes.
And, I don't know. I think that if it's a good game, I think if it's like a blowout one way or another, then it's like less exciting. But if it's like, if there's altercations in the game and like things get heated, it could be the case, and it ends up coming down to the wire, and field goal wins it, crazy play wins it, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I could see that adding one to the rivalry and the legacy. But maybe maybe then when we face off next year in Statesboro, maybe it's for that.
We bring the trophy out to the field.
We bring the trophy out
look what we got
with this bare bottom, and we're just like, it's, you got to go look up the trophy, y'all. Like, it's really cool.
Yes.
But yeah, so yeah, the more I thought about it, I'm like, I could see it being lame. I think some people were like, well, at least make it like a conference opponent we don't play all the time. I think that'd be lamer. I think if it was like
Texas State, I don't know if I would
Texas State, or like, I'm trying to think of other teams that were Southern Miss. We already played them, but
Louisiana,
like that, right?
Or South
Louisiana,
Alabama.
South Alabama, teams that we've played in the past, or a Southern Miss that we played and lost to this.
Well,
year.
even this too. I think the next team after App was Marshall. Now, if App would have declined, it would have been Marshall that we played. I would not be.
I would not
have been excited about that,
because they would be coming out for blood. I think App's coming out for blood, but like they should, and like, I don't know, Marshall, we kept them out of a bowl game. I guess you could argue we did the same for App, but like, I don't know. If we were gonna play anyone out of the Sun Belt, it's App, or nothing, in my opinion.
Yes.
Even if Georgia State was eligible, I wouldn't care. Not for that, but for App,
they would care.
I like putting the group for them. It would be their
all
Super
20
Bowl.
of their fans would show up to that.
That would be like the Sugar Bowl. Yeah, Ben Moore's extended family would come. The Yeah, so and I love that again. We're the only college football game on. My only gripe is that I don't even think I finished that thought earlier,
Mm-mm.
but my only gripe was the 2 o'clock kickoff. So like Monday, fine, because it's after Christmas. A lot of people are off. Proximity, Birmingham to especially the Atlanta area for all the
Yes.
Metro Atlanta alumni, awesome. And 2 o'clock kickoff. I wish it was later. I think Monday Night Football, right, is
Yes.
going to compete with it, so that's why. But I would love for it, even if it was on like ESPN2, like make it a 5 or 6 o'clock kickoff or something like that, so more people could watch it after work if they had to work, that sort of thing. That's it's nitpicky. That's my only
Yes.
thing. It's like
Yeah.
2 o'clock. It's noon for me, right, at Mountain Time. Like I'm still obviously gonna watch it, but like, yeah,
If you can, just take the day off. Just take the day off and just enjoy the game. It's what I'm doing. So just I'm very excited about the game. I'm with you. I don't think if it was another conference opponent that I'd be very excited about it. But this one I am. This one got me really excited about this bowl. Probably more so than I would think going back to I was excited about the COVID Bowl where we beat Louisiana Tech. Obviously the Bowling Green Bowl.
See, I wasn't that excited about that one actually.
I
The
was
Bowling
because
Green Bowl,
it was the New Orleans Bowl. We hadn't been there. And we were
That's fair.
we were decent and we did good in that game.
I would say 15 and 18 are my two favorites because it was right. 15 was our first.
Yeah.
And then, I watched that and then the Camellia Bowl in 18, the 10 losses to 10 wins.
Yes.
That whole thing, Lunsers full first year.
That one also was another exciting one because of how bad we were the previous year.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was being grateful for like being there, right?
Yeah, the last three bowls, I was excited about Buffalo just because again it was something similar. We had won 3 games this season before. Now we're bowl eligible.
Yep.
We had completely remade the offense. Obviously, that part of it.
I think I wasn't because we lost 5 straight, right?
No, that was the next year. That was the next year.
Okay.
But yeah, the Ohio Bowl the following year was the one that we lost 4 straight going into. Was not
I wasn't
excited about that.
About that one at all. Sam Houston, I wasn't excited about at all.
Sam Houston, I was a little excited because I thought we were going to win that one. And then we went out there and played like garbage.
I'll give you that. I guess excited's not the right word. I was a little confident in that one.
Yes.
Because I thought like they were overmatched. This is still an FCS team. They had a good year. They got a decent defense.
We didn't turn the ball over like 6 times. We would have.
And that's what I was going to say about this one. Like some of those opponents, not the Auburns and stuff, but like Kent State was on that APR list, right? Like I think we would wipe the floor with Kent State.
I don't know because their offense was pretty decent.
Their
this
defense
year
was awful though.
The defense was something else, but.
And I was looking at some of those MAC teams and stuff, and like the top, very top heavy conference, like top of the MAC, some pretty decent teams. Middle and bottom of the MAC, awful. There was not like 6 and 6 teams. There was like 7 and up, and then like 5 and 7 and down.
Yeah.
So like, I think like Kent State was on there. A Temple, I think we could like compete with a Temple. So like that kind of like excited me because I'm like, again, it's somebody different that we could potentially win that game.
Yeah.
Obviously, we can beat App State. We've already done it, but I feel like there's more at risk in this one. VF Baller, the guy that does YouTube channel, and we had a little back and forth on X, and he was basically saying like this is a must-win game for Helton. Obviously, he's 0-3 in bowl games at Georgia Southern, and basically claiming now that we know the opponent is App, like you cannot lose this game. And I mean,
I saw that conversation.
See where he's coming from.
Yes.
We're not going to fire Helton for losing this game, whether it was against Auburn or App State.
But what I will say is that if we do lose, how we lose or how bad we lose will determine how hot his seat is going into next year.
You think so? Because you've had the opinion before that like
I think with this, well, it doesn't matter, but this is a little different. And now
I think this one matters. I really do.
Now we're coming at the end of year 3. There's obviously a growing sentiment within the fan base that we're not happy with how things are going. We had very high hopes going into this season. Obviously, that got dashed and just thrown out the window almost pretty much after the second half of the Fresno State game.
Right.
So with this, we have already beaten them. We beat them at Boone. Now we're going to a neutral site. If we come out there and lay an egg and we get blown out by like 3 touchdowns, yeah, I think there's going to be a faction of the fan base that's going to be like, we've got to move on unless there's a drastic turnaround.
That's fair.
Going in 2026.
I honestly, I mean, I don't know how Helton actually feels, of course, about it. And I don't think he would admit it. But this has to be almost worst case scenario for him. Like if you think about it, because like you go and play Central Florida or Baylor or Florida State or somebody. Okay, you lose. Well, like okay,
it is what it is.
5-7, but it is what it is. It was a Power 4 team. You go and lose to another, MAC team or whatever. Let's say like the pecking order was different, and we played a 6-6, 7-5 MAC or Conference USA team. We lose that. Still some heat. Not as much. You go and lose to your rival, which you have a good track record against and beat earlier, just a couple weeks ago, but you lose to them in a bowl game when they're 5-7 going in. I feel like that might be worst case scenario to this, because it is going to matter to fans more than if we played a MAC team.
It will. I don't know if I wouldn't phrase it as worst case scenario. I would phrase it as this is a more
would be the worst case scenario?
Pressure ridden game. Or
what's the worst case scenario?
Worst case scenario?
Yeah.
Not making it, one.
Well,
would be worse.
Yeah, like as far as like opponent and like, because everyone's like, oh, it's a must win to like, you can't go 0-4 in bowl games. But
yeah, I think worst case scenario. I don't know if there is a worst case scenario, because that's a great question. I'm gonna have to probably think on that one.
I think it's apt. I really do. Just with the history there and stuff. I really do, because I could see. I mean, the only other scenario I could think of is if it had kept going, which to your point, like Marshall was 5-7, they would have taken it. But like there was a scenario where it could have gotten to like 4-win teams and stuff. And if we lost to a 4-win team, probably not a P4 team, like people were joking, like call up Dion and get like Colorado and like stuff like that. That I think, they get a pass. But like if it was like a 4-8, I don't know,
MAC team, just because there were some of those.
There you go. Yeah. Like 4-8 MAC team. That would be bad.
That would be bad. Again, I don't know if worst case it would be the way that I would phrase it. I think this is probably, of all the bowl opponents, the one where he's going to feel the most pressure to win. It's definitely this one.
I think that's what I'm trying. I think we're speaking
maybe we're saying the same thing.
That's what I mean. Worst case scenario, meaning like your seat's hot. Do bowl games matter or not?
Oh,
if they do at all, is it going to add heat to the seat?
Then yes.
This is the worst case scenario to add heat to the seat.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Then
yeah, and like I said, it would really kind of depend on how you lose the game at that point.
Yeah.
Right.
Best case scenario would be like Auburn. Auburn accepts. You go play Auburn. They got a great defense. Maybe you give a competitive game, but still lose. It's like, whatever. But like, yeah. And like you said,
because this is going to leave I mean, everybody had a bad taste in our mouth after the Sam Houston State game last year. I mean, that was a terrible way to end the season.
But it subsided. It subsided fairly quickly. Like
this isn't gonna subside. This isn't gonna go away.
That's my point.
All. Yeah.
Like I was pissed that night. I was pissed the next day. I was mad maybe for that week after. Holidays and everything happened. We forgot about it. We did record an episode and never released an episode. But like, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I was mad about it, but I wasn't like this. Especially if we get embarrassed on national TV against App State and it's not even competitive, I am going to be livid,
especially because we beat
until
them.
September next year.
Yes,
Like for like for 9 months, I'm going to be so mad.
Past September. I mean, it'll be something that I think sticks with the fan base for years.
Yeah, well, they'll definitely hold it over us for years. It will negate the earlier win.
It will.
Like that's the kind of crazy thing about this. They can redeem themselves, and like the storyline isn't going to be we went 1-1 against each other.
Correct.
The storyline is going to be we beat your butt in a bowl game.
Correct.
And if what you're saying, if they blow us out, then that. If it's 25-22 like the previous meeting, maybe not as much. There'll still be a bitter taste, but again, if we get blown out, that is worst case.
Yes,
because
that is worst case. Yeah.
So yeah, that's a good segue, I guess, to the game. Let's talk a little bit. Obviously, like I said, 25-23. I think I said 22, but 25-23 was the final score earlier when we beat them in Boone. It was a game that we dominated the first half. It was 19-3 in the first half. They outscored us 20-6 in the second half. All we had to show offensively in the second half was a pair of field goals, one in the third and one in the fourth, where they scored 4 in the fourth quarter, 6 in the third. One storyline was the defense, obviously, the whole year. That was kind of the storyline. One of the worst defenses in FBS, obviously fired Brandon Bailey. That game was one of the best defensive played games of the season. First half for sure. Only giving up 23 points for us was a huge improvement.
The point total is an improvement. The yards that we gave up in
425 yards we gave up.
Most of that in the second half.
Most of the second half. I want to say it was like 100 and something.
I think we gave up over 300 yards.
Yeah.
I think we gave up over 300 second half.
It was like 150 or 170.
I want to say that prior to the last drive in the first half, we had held them to less than 70 or 80 yards total. So they really got, from that last drive of the first half to the rest of the game, I think they got close to like 300, 350 in their total yards of the game. So I will give you best play defense first half.
Rushing only 77 yards total,
which I think may be the best all season.
That's the best of the year. That's the best, even Maine. It's better than Maine.
Okay, so that
Maine had I want to say almost 77 yards in the first half against us because they had that big run. They did.
It was like the first drive or something like that. I think we just ran the ball down the field.
Yeah.
So there are a couple of points to your credit that can say defensively one of our top games, but there's also points where you can say we kind of got a little lucky there because they ate up a lot of yards in that second half. So I don't even think we've discussed Brandon Bailey being fired on this podcast because that happened. No, that happened after the game, after the Marshall game. Did we discuss that? Maybe we did. We did. Yeah, maybe we did. Maybe we did.
Second guessing myself?
No,
because we did Marshall. We did. Yeah. We did. We did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we discussed that. We know that is it Darius Saffer that is going to be the
play caller.
He's going to be the play caller, acting DC for this game. So I don't know. We don't know if he has been doing that for however many games, or this is the first time he's taken on that role. That would be, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see what sort of differences, nuances that we see.
You have to think he probably wasn't the play caller against App State.
Probably
since
not.
It was, it was earlier in the season than normal. I would say if it was like the last game of the season, then maybe.
Yeah.
Right. They already told kind of Bailey to take a seat. But yeah, I'm guessing that Bailey actually was the play caller in that game, and yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, so I think to me, I want to see what's going to be the big difference in this is what's the differences in Coach Stafford calling plays versus Coach Bailey calling plays. What sort of prep are we going to be ready for this game defensively? I would hope so. We've had
You've got tape.
We got
Yeah.
tape. You know,
You see what worked and what didn't. Yeah.
How aggressive
Study
will he
that
be
first half and study
his,
that second half, and don't do that.
Exactly. How aggressive will he be in his play calling? I don't think we're going to see any drastic schematic changes, right? We're not going from a 4-2-5. All of a sudden, we're going to go to like a 3-4 defense or nothing crazy like that.
Yeah, like 2 up front. And
correct. Yeah. I don't think we're seeing anything, that crazy. But
no, scheme's not going to change.
Will we be more blitz happy? Will we bring more pressure?
I think that's the thing, right? Because if you go back and watch that game,
tighter
right.
on the
I'll probably go back and watch that game, rewatch that game. But like in the first half, we were putting a ton of pressure on Swan, the quarterback. We were making his life miserable, and they couldn't do anything.
Correct.
I mean, they looked lost. Timing was off on throws. We got several sacks. We got the one turnover. I think that came in the first half. No, that actually came in the second half. That was the big interception that kind of turned the game. But yeah, like and then we get both offensively and defensively, we get kind of complacent, right? We get kind of conservative and like want to sit on a lead. So we build that 19-3 lead, and then in the second half it was just like, yeah, let's just like sit back and like, have more cushion, play off ball.
Yeah.
And and then same with offense. It was like, oh, like what worked? Nah, we'll run it a little bit and we'll do whatever, so yeah, I'm like we've talked about it all season. We haven't been able to put teams away. And I don't know why this one would be different, but that's what I would hope for. Especially seeing them for the second time, knowing that we can beat them.
We do know their red zone defense
get up,
is really good, right? They showed that in the first game where we got, like, I think inside the red zone, 5-6 times and only scored it once or twice. The rest were field goals.
Yeah, a lot of field goals.
So we need to be able to just put the ball in the end zone. Hopefully Applin, with pretty much a month to prepare now, should hopefully have gone through all.
I would just do shots. I would call the game in a way that you're trying to score explosively, where you're not getting in the red zone.
Yeah.
Right. Like, obviously, if it happens, it happens. If a guy get caught from behind, shoestring tackle, whatever, great. Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, we got to be prepared for how they run their red zone defense. And
let Camden Brown cook, man. Like, I think
that was the frustrating part. If I remember correctly, we didn't throw to Camden Brown when we got into that red zone at all.
No, this was the breakout game. This was the breakout game for Sanders, I think. So. Marcus Sanders, the 6 receptions, 127 yards.
Yes.
He had the big bomb.
To
start things off, 3 plays and a touchdown.
Yep.
47-yard reception on that one. Camden Brown did have 6 receptions, so same. Dalen Cobb actually had 8 receptions on that game. Might have been his season high there for 57 yards. Camden Brown had 97 yards, so just shy of 100. No touchdowns, though, in that one.
No, and I don't think we threw to him in the red zone, but maybe once.
Yeah.
Whereas if you look at the Coastal game the following week, it was like we were throwing to him any chance we could get. And to
Marshall, same thing.
Marshall was the same thing, where we just
to break the record and stuff. So that's what I would do. I would just put him highlight reel, like on display, just air it out.
Anytime we see him one-on-one, especially in the red zone, we've got to check it to, all right, we're just going to throw it up to him and let him go up and make a play.
Highlight him. So.
Yeah, and force them in the red zone defense to put 2 over there, and get them out of whack a little bit, and then take advantage of it that way. But if they're going to go one-on-one with them in the red zone, then we got to throw it up to them. I think that was also the one in the App State game where I think O.J. Arnold had only 20 yards the first 3 quarters, and then he had 70 yards in that fourth.
Correct. He came on. He had 20 carries, 105 yards. I think the carries were decently split, ratio. But he had some hard runs.
Yes.
It wasn't the game. Was that Coastal? He had
game.
The breakout game.
Yes.
Yeah. So it wasn't the Coastal game, right? It was a prelude to the Coastal game. But he Yeah, like he was pretty much non-existent in the first half. In the second half, he fought, I would say is the word to use. He kind of fought for all the yards. He had some key runs at the end to close the game out. I believe Weston Bryan had a big run too
Yes.
to
JC
close that
French.
one out. JC French had a big run. But yeah, I think OJ, if I remember correctly, yeah, I'm gonna go back and rewatch the game, but he had like a kind of a run to the outside where he kind of like cut it back and like really stretched the field and got around the corner and got a key first down on
Well, I
like
think
third
that
and
was
long.
a thing because I listened to that game on the radio, and I think that was one of the things that Terry and Danny was harping on was from their vantage point, they could see that if we could get to the outside, we would have room
Yep.
to run. And finally, in the fourth quarter, we were able to do that.
Yep.
So I think that's going to be something else to watch for in this ball game is when we do run, are we going to stretch it to the edge to get around the edge, or are we going to try to run it up the A gap?
Exploit their weaknesses.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Or are we going to just run
And
it
it
to the
should
teeth?
still be their weakness. Yeah. Yeah. So like OJ and OJ
Of course,
obviously wasn't
also
in for the Marshall game.
correct. I was going to say
So,
also,
but
we'll
yeah.
also try to correct their mistakes. They'll probably say, well, we'll try to go to the edge, so let's have something to.
Right.
It's always a chess match. So
Let's double team Camden Brown.
yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, honestly. Like it's a good case study because there's more on the line, like we've addressed, but I also think this will showcase where we're actually at with our coaching. Obviously, defensive coordinator and really the defensive side of the ball, like, that's a big question mark because Bailey's gone. We've got a first-time play caller, or what we think is more than likely. Again, like who knows? Maybe by now, he's named the DC. But more than likely not. So, like, I think on the defensive side, it's a bit, just again, you're not gonna like overhaul, change anything.
We're not going to know anything.
Yeah. Offensively, though, Helton and Applin, I think this is going to be a big case study of like how good of coaches are you or can you be?
Yes.
Of like, here's a team just like in the NFL that you're facing twice in the season, just a couple weeks apart. You won the first one on the road. Now you got a neutral site. Like, what can you learn? Study that tape. And what you didn't exploit then, what can you you exploit now, and what can you further exploit?
And then also too, their end game changes. What do you see that they're doing different to take away what you did successful the first game, and what now are their new holes to exploit in the game? So you're right. On the offensive side of the ball, we're going to really see sort of what our coaching staff is about.
It's a chess match, right?
Yes.
Because it's not just like a watching film and we're playing Ohio and like we got a week or 2 weeks to like study their film. It's like we know what they got.
Correct.
We've already faced it just a couple weeks ago. Let's go back and revisit that moment and like amplify it and see how we can be even better, and where it's not a 2-point game, or it's not a game where we get outscored 20-6 in the second half.
What was the possession time difference
we
in that game?
We had it, but not a huge.
Wasn't a huge
32 to 27.
Okay.
So yeah, 32-20 to 27.
I would look forward to App to try to actually establish their run game.
They did not. They abandoned it quick.
They did. Now
they tried to establish it, but we shut them down. Yeah.
I also think that they may just go high tempo the entire time because that seemed to work in the second half for them.
Interesting thing is, all right, so quarterback in that game was Swan. AJ
no
Swan.
Longer the quarterback now.
No longer. We think he's in the transfer portal, so I can't imagine he's going to play in the bowl game, especially that late in the season.
And not when they've had another quarterback that they've split time with just about evenly, right?
Yeah. So JJ Cole. He's it's actually kind of crazy, right? So like even about even as split as possible. So AJ Swan has 130 completions on 222 attempts. Cole has 133 completions on 216 attempts.
Okay.
So slightly higher Are actually pretty significantly higher completion percentage, 61.6 to 58.6. And he's got 12 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions, Cole does, where Swan had 10 touchdowns and 8 interceptions.
What's the yardage difference?
The yardage difference is very very close. 1495 for Swan, 1465 for Cole.
Okay. So Cole protects the ball better.
Cole protects the ball, and that was Swan's crux wherever he's been. So this is his third school. He was at Vanderbilt. He was somewhere, I want to say, before Vanderbilt, like Clemson or LSU or somewhere like that.
Okay.
And that was his thing, was like he just can't take care of the football. He's careless at times and makes really poor decisions, and we've seen that. And that he threw the interception.
Yeah.
That was really the
we probably should have had about 2 more, to be honest with you.
Yes. Yeah.
But
yeah.
Okay.
So it might be a blessing in disguise for App that, you know, they're started. They split time. I think he played the entire game against us.
Against us, he played the entire game. We didn't see the other guy at all. All right, so that. I would say that goes into an advantage for App, right? Is that they'll have a quarterback that will probably protect the ball better. Passing wise, he seems to be a little bit more accurate. Yardage wise, there's not much difference. Is this the guy that's like 6'7"? He's like really tall, isn't he? So he probably has a better.
He is 6'7", 245 from Iowa.
Yeah, that seems to be popular numbers these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he obviously can probably see the field a little bit better. Yeah, I would think that would be a big advantage to App, is for him to play in the bowl game.
He's a sophomore, so you could say like maybe experience. You know, the youth might get in. Does he have a JC French moment? Where, you know, the moment gets too big for him? Because, like, again, it's a big bowl game. All eyes on you. Anyone watching college football that day is going to be watching this game.
Yes.
And you know, and that wasn't even the case in the game last year. You know, against Sam Houston State, but. Yeah, we saw French kind of crumble under the pressure there, and which led to a lot of kind of criticism and stuff going into this season.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if he is the kind of de facto starter going into next year,
I would see where this has got to be a big redemption moment for French this year, right? Like going to now this bowl game, obviously,
especially facing Cole, right?
Yeah,
because like that's the thing, is like you're a head-to-head matchup against him. Like, go in and show that you're the more experienced.
Exactly.
Go in and dominate this game. Make no mistakes. Make the throws. Make the plays when you need to. Use your legs when you need to. Stretch out that third down and prove that, like, you're the better quarterback and we're the better team.
Yep.
Like, that's how I, like, that's the challenge, I think, to JC French.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
We don't know about O.J. Arnold's status. He was out for the Marshall game. I don't know.
He dressed, though. I think he dressed for the Marshall game. He just didn't play. So that gives me hope that if they dressed him out for that game.
I will say this.
You're talking about a month. You're talking about almost a month.
If for some reason he can't go, Baker and who was the other one? Teo. They both look good against Marshall.
They did.
So I don't really have any sort of worrisome, question marks there about our running back situation.
I would still love to see OJ, especially if that's his last ride.
Yes.
If that's his last ride, you get OJ in, you get Camden Brown in, and you just put on a show.
Yep.
I think you feed both of those guys, including the passing game with OJ.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you feed both of those guys, and that's really all you need.
Yes.
Maybe a little bit of Weston here, but like, yeah, I think those two guys could get it done.
Yes, and then obviously Brandon Harrington, right? This is his last.
I think defensively, you're going to see. I mean, you talk about. I mean,
emotions.
See an NFL player, probably not, but like, emotions are going to be high. He obviously was like, he did some bragging on X afterwards when we made the bowl game, after we beat App, grass is greener kind of comments. And so, I mean, they're going to be gunning for him, right? They're going to be trying to exploit him.
Yeah.
But I think this is his, final moment as, in his last college game, against his former team to really put on a show.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. But no, I think what else? I don't
He had
really.
eight tackles in the last game
Okay.
against that. So
Special teams wise, I think we know what we got with our punter and with our kicker situation.
don't force field goals more than 40. That's
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Unless you've seen something in practice the week leading up to where you think you can push it to 45.
If he all
But
of a sudden
yeah.
started doing leg day every day and like you think he can power it another 5-10 yards.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree with you. If it's within 40, fine. If it's over 40, don't. I think my biggest thing is on kickoffs. Just fair catch it, take it at 25. Just don't try to risk it. Don't try to make a play that's not there.
Did they have a return in this game?
I thought they did.
That?
Had one or two decent ones. I don't know if it was
not for a touchdown. Though.
No, but like the get. Okay. I think I know. I don't know. I can't remember.
They didn't have one for a touchdown. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
But I also felt like a big part of our win against App was our field position battle. I felt like our starting field position was a lot better than what App State's starting field position was, which led to us having more scoring opportunities compared to what they had. And it will be something that we need to watch heavily in this bowl game.
This was the game, right? Again, we scored 3 plays, 75 yards, 44 seconds. We take the ball first, march right down. Sanders, big touchdown. We do the razzle dazzle, extra point. We go up 6-0 instead of 7-0.
Yes.
This was that game. Don't do that. Don't get cute. No, seriously, don't get cute.
I agree. I agree.
No, none of that. None of the trick plays. Like, I'm not saying you can't do a trick play, but like, we are a good enough team to beat App State. We are a good enough team to beat App State soundly.
Yes.
This year without doing all of that.
Yeah. No, if
so
you
like,
see
don't
something
shoot yourselves in the foot.
Correct. If you see something in their defense that you think, okay, this trick play will work because you see these two guys over pursuing heavily when you show this, look on offense.
You're double teaming Camden Brown.
Then fine.
And you got this guy open every time. So let's give him more space on like a in and around reverse pass, whatever. Like, sure.
Okay, fine. But don't just call a trick play just to call a trick play. Yep. When it's because more times than not, it has seemed to where it has not succeeded. But yeah, no, just don't take the extra risk. Just take the points when you got them.
That's what I was going to say. Just take the points when they're there.
Yeah.
Like 7 is better than 6.
Yes.
Just take
it almost
the
came
points.
and bit us in the butt at the end of the game.
It did. Yeah, I know. And a lot of us thought that was going to be the case. And I get the argument against like a USC. This isn't USC.
No.
So like, let's just go out. If you score in 3 plays, 75 yards, kick the extra point, kick the ball deep, play defense, get the ball back, and then score again.
We're not. We're going for 2 that first touchdown.
No, we're going to do. Yeah. The world watching. What is that? Why do they got 7 guys lined up
exactly
on the far side of the field?
Sickos are going to have going to have a fun field day with this.
They are. Weston Bryan's in. I wonder what's happening. We're running up the middle. No one saw that coming. That's the thing.
I don't know if he did it against App, but I know with Marshall, we seem to really utilize him throwing the ball a lot more in that game.
We did. I want to say 2 or 3 times, which is probably the most of the season. I would love to see that. Are we going to get, split possessions? No, we're not. We're like JC French is going to be the starter if he's healthy. You're going to get maybe 3, 4 max plays, maybe 5 in the game from Weston Bryan. I would love to see him do an entire drive. I don't think you're going to see it.
No.
So
we'll see how he's utilized in this game. It'll be interesting to watch that too. All right. Anything else we want to go over into that game?
I think we covered.
Yeah, we're not going to break down schemes. We're not that smart in football.
We're not. We're not. No, I think that was a good enough preview. That was one of our more thorough previews.
Yeah.
And we had a lot to go off of because it wasn't just like looking at stats from last year
Correct.
with a bunch of guys that are no longer on the team.
Yes.
So yeah, like we only played them a couple weeks ago, so it's fair to reflect back on that game, and but I feel like we did that. So yeah, let's shift gears here to what I promised earlier and talk about just the state of college football. So obviously, like I said, historic moment for the group of 5, soon to be group of 6 with the Pac-12. 2 group of 5 teams making the college football playoff. When it expanded to 12 teams, most of us anyway thought that it would be a pipe dream to get 2 in.
Yes.
Even as bad and as average as like the ACC and even Big 12 and at times looked. It was like, hey, we're going to get that. Boise State last year gets the first round bye. That causes some controversy. Then they lose that game.
Yes.
They're like, oh, well, they shouldn't get a bye. Like, they should just get seeded on whatever. Like, they can get the automatic qualifier. So that goes in place this year, right? So they already make that change. Now this year, Duke wins the ACC at 8-5 overall. James Madison gets in with basically their spot, and then Tulane pretty much already had it locked and loaded. They get the 11th seed.
Yes.
They beat Duke this year. They beat 2 Power 4 teams, I believe, this year, and yeah. So I've talked about this a little bit on the account on X. It's great for the group of 5. It's great for Sunbelt Conference and the American Conference, especially as Sunbelt because it's our first time. It's great for James Madison University. So kudos to them, right? They earned this. They, operated within the rules. They beat the teams on their schedule. They're 12-1 and Sunbelt champions. So I don't like them. I don't have to like them. Fans aren't my favorite, but like pat on the back, kudos to them, right? They earned this. Like, here's your flowers. They got to go take care of business. They got to at least compete against Oregon. Again, maybe you're listening to this after. But, we're recording this a week from the game. What I've kind of alluded to on X is like, I feel like this is both the worst or the best and worst case scenario for the group of 5.
Yes. I will agree with you on that.
Right? Because
Yes.
like in present day, great. Again, great for James Madison, great for the American Conference and Sunbelt, awesome. 2 in, Notre Dame's not, awesome, haha, nay, boo boo, like we're here. The powers to be and the, talking heads of college football, those that like carry weight, the Paul Feinbaums of the world and Clay Travis's and insert podcast host here, they've all been throwing a hissy fit, over the last week after this. And I think it just like Boise did a little bit last year, Liberty did a little bit, and that wasn't even the playoff. That was just like a New Year's 6 game. But like Liberty did a little bit when they went and got embarrassed against Oregon. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, do we is the automatic qualifier even a good idea for the group of 5? Not just 2 teams being in, even 1 team being in, so I feel like while this year is historic, it might have sped things up to exclude the group of 5, soon to be group of 6, from the college football playoff moving forward.
Only if they both get blown out.
I don't think it matters.
I think
I really don't.
I think
if they win, I think if both of them win, that might even make things worse.
No,
because they'll make some excuse.
Okay, go ahead.
I don't know. I think they'll make some excuse and they'll say, whatever, insert whatever here. We didn't have Lane Kiffin. We had guys injured on Oregon, whatever. And like, they just didn't belong in the first place. We would have been up for the game if it was against Notre Dame or BYU or Texas, but like James Madison, no, like they don't. This is a Cinderella story. Cinderella stories don't belong in college football. The argument that you've heard from like the talking heads and the pundits is that a James Madison and a Tulane, any group of 5 representative, is never going to realistically win a national championship. That is the argument.
And so is, you can make that argument for 80%, if 90% of the Power 4 schools too.
I would say 95.
Okay.
I would say 95.
So, okay. So
there's 10 to 15 teams that legitimately can win a national championship every year.
Okay.
In my opinion, I think that's even. I think that's being liberal. I think it, honestly, it's
you
like
can
5 to
honestly
10.
say probably the same thing in most playoff format football divisions. You go to the FCS, of the 24 teams that make it, how many do you realistically think you're going to actually win the championship?
Oh yeah,
game?
I've paid attention to some games like today. Like Stephen F. Austin got blown out. Tarleton State won big.
No, they didn't.
Or no, they lost. Tarleton State lost the Montana schools, right?
Both Montana schools won big. I will say, and go down to high school, right? You go to the high school level, you'll have a huge mismatch in the first, second round. And honestly, in most classifications across all states, you may have 4 to 5 teams into those classifications that will only win the state championship. Does that mean you just throw out the rest of that playoff and only get it down to those 4 teams based on perception or based on notoriety of that high school? No. So why should that be the case here at the FBS level? I agree with you that this is the best and worst case scenario for the group of 6 schools. I agree with you to a certain point that the game in and of itself may not really matter to what the future rules dictate going forward after this year for how teams are selected for the playoffs. What I will say is that if the games are competitive, and if not both schools win, I think that argument to change the format becomes much harder for next year and beyond. If it's a blowout,
if they win, I'll give you. Yeah.
If it's a blowout, then you can probably expect an expedited decision to try to exclude group of 6 schools, or make the rule say only a group of 6 school can be included in the playoff if they are in the final top 10 of the rankings at the end of the season. Not that you're just a conference championship and you just got into it because you're one of the 5 highest.
26th or
correct,
22nd or
now. I will also,
which all they would do is just exclude. It's subjective of the rankings.
The whole idea of 2 schools from the group of 6 being in this year is not the group of 6's fault. It's actually a Power 4 conference called the ACC who created this entire mess with
a cluster,
which had a crazy way to try to determine who should be in their conference championship.
Agreed.
Right? Yeah. It should have been Miami and Virginia. They should have said it should have been a head-to-head tiebreaker. They didn't have that. Then it should have just went to.
And I don't think Miami should be in the playoff. Like, I'm not saying Miami's not a good team. I'm not saying Miami's not better than Tulane and James Madison, but like, I feel like you should have punished the ACC for how stupid their rules are. Honestly, right? Like you said, those were the 2 best teams. Clearly, was Virginia and Miami, and it's like if Miami's not good enough to make your conference championship with your dumb rules, you don't get.
Why should they be in the playoff? That's a great point. They shouldn't. That's a great point that nobody brought up.
Alabama get in, I get it, but everyone's mad. They didn't move. They got blown out by Georgia. Blah blah blah. It's brand. Like if they were Vanderbilt, they're not in the playoff. If Vanderbilt made the conference championship game and got blown out the same way that Alabama did against Georgia, Vanderbilt's not in the championship. Or
as a 3-loss team, they're not as a 3-loss team. Yeah. You look at BYU. BYU has 2 losses, both losses to Texas Tech, who, to me, in my mind, it may be the only team that could probably challenge Georgia to win the whole thing, or Ohio State. I agree,
because I think Texas Tech is that team. I think Texas Tech is really,
a very
good,
dangerous team.
Yeah, I think
and BYU just happened to have to play them twice. And that's the only team they lost to, and they're not in it.
And close. The first time was close. I think.
It wasn't.
Or no, they got blown out both.
Both. Yeah. So BYU has an argument that why does my championship game matter, but Alabama's and the SEC doesn't. So there's obviously flaws in this system that are not that have affected multiple teams.
Yeah.
For this though, for the group of 6 schools, I think it is going to be judged unfairly with the results of these games. Ole Miss and Tulane have already played. Ole Miss blew them out. It'll be
35
interesting to
points.
see the difference in the game in a week or so. JMU and Oregon. Oregon's a very good team. Oregon has been a very good team for a while.
Yes.
We'll see how that game plays out. We'll see just how good JMU's defense is going up against a team like Oregon.
Yeah.
I will ask you this. You and I both watched the Boise State Oregon game last year.
Yes.
Is Boise State's defense better than JMU's defense this year?
No, I don't think so.
No. Is Oregon's offense last year better than what Oregon's offense is this year?
No.
You don't think their offense last year was better? Or is I think their offense is slightly better.
You're saying their offense is better this year versus last year?
No, offense was better last year than it is this year. Oregon's offense.
I think they're
probably the same, right?
About the same.
About the same.
About the same.
I know a lot of people have already written this game off because it's JMU.
Yep.
I think this could be something that is a surprisingly sneaky good game in which it's the fourth quarter and it's one possession and things are looking tight.
And then finish it. Finish the thought though.
The
then
thought
what
is
ultimately ends up?
That somehow Oregon scores 2 late touchdowns.
So they cover. So they cover the 21 and a half. Yeah, so people would look at just the score line and they'll say they got blown out.
Yes.
That's the thing is like we don't have the benefit of the doubt as a group of 5-6 conference school to do that. TCU gets blown out against Georgia. There's countless examples of P4 teams getting blown out against other P4 teams. SMU got blown out by somebody
last year. Tennessee got blown out by Ohio State.
Tennessee got blown out. And but like they just write it off like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't their day. This will be like, haha, I told you so. They never belonged on the field. Whatever. And it's like, so I hear you. I agree. I think they could like hang with them. I think it could potentially be a close first half. I think it could potentially be close going into the fourth quarter. They're going to have to find a way to make it close going down to the wire.
Yes.
Point blank, period. Tulane too. Like, it's not fair, but that's what they're going to have to do because they have this dark cloud looming over them that everyone is expecting them to just lay an egg and get blown out by 70. And if they come anywhere close to it, it's just going to be a haha, I told you so. And again, the excuses game of like the only reason you lost by 20 and not 50 was because of XYZ.
Correct.
Yeah.
And here's the thing too. The group of 6 conferences get judged by their worst schools. The Power 4 conferences get judged by their best schools. It's not fair, but that's the world that we live in when it comes to college football.
Yep. That's the thing. Like what you said, right? You said 85, then you went 90, and I was like 95. That's the thing is like if you're going to use the argument of a JMU, a Tulane, or insert other group of 5-6 conference team here is never going to win the national championship. I'm not going to say that that's like unobtainable, but I get it. It's a super uphill battle. Like you can even make the analogy to college basketball, like men's college basketball. You've got your Cinderella stories of Butler and George Mason and, countless others.
Was it St. Peter's a couple years ago?
St. Peter's made Sweet 16.
Final Four.
But that's the thing. Was it the Final Four?
Elite 8 or Final Four, one of those.
I think they made Elite 8. But like Butler made the championship game against Duke. Lost that when we were in college. George Mason made the Final Four. St. Peter's, you had the like weird school with all the letters. Make it like out of Maryland or something. You had like, so you have like the 16-1 upsets now. You're seeing that more often, the 15-2 upsets. But I get it. Like, have those teams won it all? No, they haven't. But they at least had a seat at the table. They at least had an opportunity to show like, hey, on any given day,
yes,
we could beat Kentucky. we can beat Virginia, we can beat Duke or North Carolina, and that's all we're asking for. And I get it. Basketball is different than football. It's obviously not as big of a tournament. There's not as many conferences, not as many total teams, but like we deserve that opportunity, in my opinion, to at least have that chance.
Yes, as does all 136 schools have the opportunity. As unrealistic as it could be, they should at least, every school at the beginning of the season, feel like I have a path to a championship.
But to a lot of teams, I would say a James Madison and a Tulane has a much better chance and path not only to the playoff, but because of that clearer path to the playoff, a clearer path to a national championship, you got to win 5 games, whatever it is, than a Maryland or a Boston College or a Rutgers out of the Big Ten or a Mississippi State.
They don't want teams.
They're never winning a national championship.
No, but
Cody.
see,
those teams are never winning.
You can't let that secret out of the bag, though, man.
Everyone knows. The people that know college football know Maryland is never winning a national championship. Boston College is never winning a national championship.
But
Baylor is never winning a national championship. Wake Forest is never winning a national championship.
If that thought gets out there, then what does that do to recruiting? You have to have kids feel like I go to an ACC school, or if I go to a Big 10 school or a Big 12 school, that I have an easier path or I have a better shot against you.
It's not even ACC. I get you, but I get the ACC and Big 12 argument. But again, Rutgers is in the Big 10.
I get it. I
Maryland is in the Big 10. Mississippi State, but Kentucky.
If you're a high-valued 3-star athlete, and that realization is out there that, you know what, I have an easier shot to get to a playoff with JMU or with Tulane, and they're both recruiting me, but also Wake Forest is recruiting me and Rutgers is recruiting me. Well, which one am I going to go to if playoff and postseason aspirations is what I want? Well, I'm probably going to choose JMU or Tulane. Well, what does that do to Rutgers and Wake Forest's talent evaluation on those teams? They go down. Well, if they go down, that means the quality of opponents of your Ohio States, of your Miamis, that goes down. So it starts to even out the playing field across all of college football. If this starts,
they won't see it that way, though.
But that's the thing. The narrative that they're trying to run with will never allow it to be seen that way. But that's the truth. They're
trying to shut us out.
Correct. So the uphill battle is crazy. What Group of 6 are going to have to go through. There's a lot more going on in my head that I see in this, because it's a battle of brands. It's a battle of TV money. It's a battle of making sure that the SEC and the Big 10 and the Big 12 and the ACC keep their value. Well, how do they keep their value? Well, their football brands have to keep their value. How do you keep their value? Well, you got to sell them that they're the better programs. Yep. You got to sell them they're the tougher schools. If any of that starts to drop and their value start to drop, then that becomes then all the house of cards starts to fall down in terms of how all this money sets up.
Yep.
So there's a lot more going on with, I think, this, that is why you see such a strong, elevated, almost warpath-like attack on these Group of 6 schools, because Lord forbid one of these schools wins. Lord forbid both of them wins.
Right.
Now this whole house of cards and this charades just go right out the window.
Yeah. The veil is
gone. We see who the Wizard of Oz is now. It's not who we thought,
Right. Yeah, he doesn't have magic.
Correct.
Yeah. I get it, and that's what I'm saying. That's why I said it was best and worst case scenario, because it's like if you kept just having the one team, and it's a Liberty, it's a Tulane, it's a Boise State. They compete for 3 quarters, and they kind of get blown out. Everyone's like, that's cute. Like we let the little guy try, and then like they're not happy about it, and then like you're gonna have the Texas and
oh no, they'll be happy if they get blown out.
Well, no. I'm saying like the one spot. They're not happy about the one spot, but they can make like concessions with the one spot. Yeah. They can be okay with the one spot. The 2, like that that turned everything on its head. Mm-hmm. It expedited everything, and they're like, no, Absolutely not. Now it's ridiculous. So it's like we'll give the little guy a shot, but one little guy, one shot, make him 12, give him really the least possible shot possible.
Yeah.
And it's just like a little novelty act. Well, no, now you got two that can do it. No, because like you said, if lightning strikes and then all of a sudden, things are catching on fire.
Also, to look at last year with Boise State, we had one. Boise State was very good. They had a generational talent at running back.
Yep.
Now the following year you get two in. Well, we can't let this trend continue. What if next year you have the Pac-12 with an undefeated team? You have a Sun Belt with another undefeated team or one-loss team that's up there that's really good. And all of a sudden now you start getting all these kind of group of 6 schools with undefeated or one loss, and they're starting knocking at the door. Well, that you can't let Texas out of the playoff because 12-1 James Madison is here or 13-0 Boise State's here. What?
Yeah.
Like they didn't go through that SEC tough schedule.
Right.
It's
they beat one Power 4 opponent or two Power 4 opponents.
Yeah,
they didn't face a bunch of
people. You're starting to. I think what folks aren't seeing and is that this is really a war to keep brands valuable. And how do you keep them valuable? Well, you got to sell that they're winning programs. Well, how do you sell that they're winning programs? They make the playoff because conference championships now are almost too unattainable for a lot of these programs, right? Because these leagues in Power
they're mega conferences,
so
they're
big.
20, and
Oklahoma
they're top heavy.
Isn't going to win the SEC 3.
Maryland's never winning the Big Ten. No.
So
and you're gonna have Cinderella stories like Indiana, but that comes around with like a.
But see, that's an appropriate Cinderella story, right? Because it's out of a Power 4 conference. That's a Cinderella story that they're okay with. They're not okay with the Cinderella.
Where did he coach before, Cody?
Yeah, JMU.
Where did he coach before? Who play? What players did he take at Indiana?
That's still on
historically.
There now?
That's still on there now. They're coming into their prime. That was the worst program in college football history.
Yes.
That he turned around. How did he turn around, Cody?
With JMU.
Who's the new head coach at who's the new coach at the University of Florida, Cody?
Tulane.
Yeah. John Summerall.
Yeah,
John Summerall. Yeah, he was at Tulane. Who's the new head coach at Arkansas? The Memphis coach.
Yep.
Who's the but it's a safety hazard for a group of 5 schools.
You looked at what was it, the blue chip difference between Ohio State and Indiana. Ohio State had 67 kids on that team that are 4 or 5 stars. Indiana had 6 or 7. I think if you look at the overall average talent rating on Indiana, they ranked somewhere in the 70s, 60s or 70s. Right? If you put Indiana in the Sun Belt, if you put Indiana in the Mountain West and let them go undefeated like they did, they're not getting in. Or you're going to have people upset. Well, we shouldn't let that team in.
Yep. 100%.
And you look at, I know the young man just won the Heisman Trophy tonight. Their quarterback did.
Mendoza,
where was he at last year? Cal. Was anybody talking about this kid at Cal last year?
No.
Was anybody saying this is a future Heisman winning trophy quarterback? No, because if he was, he would have been recruited by all the big schools. He would have gotten some huge NIL payment, and he wasn't. That's the beauty of that's why I've had so much admiration for Coach Cingnetti, because he is literally taking whoever and he's turning them into winners. The man knows how to coach, and
I love it. Yeah,
it proves that stars and the name on the front of the jersey doesn't really mean a whole lot if you have a better coaching staff on the opposite side of the field.
Correct. No, I agree with you, and that's the thing is the only thing I'll add to that is with these mega conferences of how they've got so inflated, you have that middle tier and bottom tier that, to your point, is never going to compete for a conference championship.
Kentucky,
but they are Kentucky, Maryland, Boston College,
Wake.
I mean, you could even argue Iowa State, Wake, Baylor, these schools, they're leeches. I mean, like,
Look
right?
at
That,
Texas
like,
Tech. Texas
they're
Tech.
hanging on for dear life.
You know how Texas Tech got so great from last year to this year?
Oil money, NIL.
Oil money.
They
But do you know
have the most NIL money
do you
of
know
any
who they
team in the country.
recruited heavily? G6 or G5 and FCS players.
Yep.
They went out and got the best FCS and G5 players that they needed at the spots that they felt like they had holes in.
Because you need that feeder program, because I spent a lot of years covering high school football, Cody, and like the guy that you think, the guy that's lighting it up on Friday nights and stuff, they're not always got, like, you see all these, Netflix documentaries, QB1 and stuff. What was it? Tate Martell was like the famous example, right? And like he went to Ohio State. Yeah, Spencer Rattler. Well, at least Rattler, like, he made it to the NFL.
But he got benched behind Caleb Williams at Oklahoma.
He did, but like
he had a. It wasn't. Yeah.
Tate Martell, I think, is the like Mount Rushmore of it. He was #1 quarterback in the country, out of Las Vegas. Had a Netflix documentary about him. Went to Ohio State. Got benched at Ohio State. Went to, I think, Miami, then went somewhere else after Miami, ended up at like UNLV, didn't play at UNLV, ended up at like Sacramento State or something like that, was like second or third string there, the #1 high school quarterback in the country. And, like on Netflix, like, and, so you don't know what these guys are going to do.
Nope.
Buffalo's quarterback, Wyoming.
Yes, Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, perfect example. Like, only D1 offer. Wyoming. Come play at Wyoming. Played at Wyoming. Lit it up there. Strong arm. Developed it. Skinny kid. Grew into his body. NFL scouts salivated. Boom.
Yep.
Becomes generational quarterback in the NFL. So, like, it's like, you need these, for lack of a better term, like fallback schools to be there and almost be that like feeder system. But we have to find a way to regulate that feeder system, and like reward the teams that are developing these guys.
Yes.
And getting them ready for like bigger and better things.
Yep.
So, yeah. And all right. So before we get like too off the rails, so group of 5/6 playoff has been mentioned. I teed it up at the beginning of the show. I have strong opinions about it. I don't know your opinion about it.
Nope.
So I'd love to hear it, because like it plays into what we just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I'd love to hear, yay or nay. And then regardless of what the answer is, like, does that take place of, a group of 5/6 representative in the college football playoff? Or, like what?
Okay, so so off the bat, no, I don't want a group of 5 or a group of 6 playoff.
Okay.
Because it will devalue the group of 6 brand immediately. Yep. It'll be looked at as a second tier. Any value with that is gone.
Yep.
It will automatically then elevate the value of all the Power 4 brands. This is where we play real college football. This is where you can win a real national championship.
The little guys are over here.
The little guys are over here. So, no, off the bat, no. You mentioned something I hadn't thought of is would you take it on top of if you can still get a group of 6 representative into the overall FBS playoff? And I still think my answer is no.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Because and here's the reason.
So if you took it this year and instead of the Birmingham Bowl, I mean, George Southern obviously wouldn't be at 6-6, but like a ODU, like if an ODU could be in this additional
like if you just took the 2 top teams
play for a championship, but then like maybe JMU and Tulane are both in, so maybe like Tulane's in, but like JMU is a #1 seed or #2 seed or something in this.
No, absolutely not.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with you. I'm just curious. And I have like a potential plan, like a potential, obviously we have no power at all, but like I've been thinking about it a lot. And like, So a lot of people have, compared it to college basketball, which
Yes.
is not obviously a one-on-one comparison. It's a lot more teams, more than double amount of teams, more than double amount of the conferences. Way bigger tournament. There's never 64 teams. I think there's never going to be 64 teams,
Correct.
obviously. But there's also this whole, gripe about there's too many bowl games. I
Yes.
got on this podcast, admittedly, and said, hey, I don't think 6-6 teams should make a bowl game. I don't. I stand by that. I get we're a 6-6 team in a bowl game. I don't think we necessarily should be there. I'm glad we are. Glad we get one more game, especially against our rival. I'll watch it. I'll cheer my heart out. But, I don't think we deserved it. To make the bowl games more meaningful, I think you could put that into some sort of tournament similar to how the college football playoff has done with, the Sugar Bowl and, Orange Bowl and all this.
Yeah.
Make those games even more meaningful because they're semifinal games, they're national championship games, whatever. I think you could do something like that with the Pop-Tarts Bowl and the Duke's Mayo Bowl, Pinstripe Bowl, all that. Not necessarily at the group of 5 level. What if we did an NIT tournament? All right. Now hear me out, because I say this and I'm a bigger college football fan than I'm a college basketball fan, but I love March Madness. I think it's the greatest tournament on earth. For a lot of reasons. NIT exists. Admittedly, I don't watch a lot of NIT. I just don't. I don't watch a lot of regular season college basketball either, outside of Georgia Southern. But if Georgia, I think Georgia Southern made the NIT long time ago, maybe.
I think our freshman or sophomore year they made it. I think
Was
that's
it?
the last
And
time.
I watched it then. Yeah, maybe they made it in the 90s or something.
Yeah.
I'm not a historian here, but if they ever made it in the future, including this year, I would watch every game they were in.
Yes.
Period. Because I'm a diehard fan. But if we did an NIT style tournament, yes, it is still second fiddle. Yes, it will still looked at as oh, you win that. Well, you weren't good enough to make the big tournament. But in college football, it would be against not just group of 5 teams, but everybody else.
Other Power 4
All right?
teams.
Notre Dame's in there. Texas is in there.
Notre Dame wouldn't be in there to take the ball and go.
They wouldn't. They would opt out, and you would have to punish them some way. Notre Dame's not a good example because they're not even in a conference. But Texas is in there, Vanderbilt is in there, BYU is in there, so on and so forth. But you also have, let's say JMU doesn't get in, Tulane does in the big one. JMU's in there, ODU's in there, UNLV's in there.
Do you put it at 12 teams as well?
You could do whatever. You could do 8 teams to make it less games. You could do 12. You could do 16. You could do 24. I think you could. But here's the thing: you have the bowl games to help support it. Yes, teams are playing extra games, and I could see that being problematic, especially for your Notre Dames. If I'm not in the big tournament, I'm not playing the possibility of 3 or 4 games.
If you do that, get rid of bowl games altogether.
The bowl games still exist. They're the catalyst for this thing.
No.
So
but what I'm saying, hold on. Put those playoff games on home sites.
I think first round. I think you do it like the college football playoff. First round could be that, and then maybe even second round or whatever is that. But I think you get rid of some bowl games. I'm not saying you keep all these random. You don't keep the Salute to Veterans Bowl in Montgomery. I'm sorry, it's gone. You get rid of those games. 6-6 teams don't get in. 7-5 teams maybe don't even get in. You make this tournament or you make the big tournament, and that's it. Whether you're Power 4, whether you're Group 5-6, you make one of the tournaments, and that's it.
Here's the first argument.
And your national championship is the Citrus Bowl, in this, or you're not national champion. Right. You get the point. Yeah.
The first argument for this is that the group of 6 teams that are in this NIT style playoff still wouldn't be able to compete with the Texas and Vanderbilts and the teams that barely missed out on the.
Why?
I'm saying that's what their first argument's going to be. That's what their first argument's going to be. And so
but you don't believe that, though.
No, because what was it? Oh yeah, Texas got beat by Florida, who got beat by UCF, or USF.
Yep.
You have um, it's an interesting thought. I think my caveat to it would be, uh, you would have to include conference champions that didn't make it into the 12-team playoff.
You could, yeah. So
So
Duke,
you
Duke, Duke
Duke
would be in. They would be a
in,
pretty high seed.
Kennesaw State would be in,
Kennesaw State would be in.
uh, Boise State would be in.
Yep.
I would say that if you're a conference winner, regardless of your seeding, so let's just say it's 16 teams, right? And let's just say that you put Kennesaw State at the 16 seed.
Yep.
I think regardless of seeding, if you won your conference, you host the first round. I think that should be
Sure.
something along those
Sure,
lines.
that's fine. I honestly don't care about any of that.
Okay.
My main thing is like, let's put us. We're in the same division. Georgia Southern, JMU, Tulane
Yeah.
is in the same division as
Would the bigger
Georgia and
schools,
Texas and Ohio State.
let's say
No, they
Georgia,
won't.
would
No, they wouldn't.
participate?
No, they probably wouldn't, and that's a part of the problem.
Would
And
we
that,
go back to the, if you don't participate, you get banned from any sort of?
I think you would have to. So here's the thing: is
Okay.
like, I think I made it clear without like saying it explicitly. I am not in favor of a group of 5 playoff. I think it's a terrible idea.
Yes.
Because it essentially splits us divisions,
Mhm.
right? We are the same division as the Big 10, the Big 12, ACC, and SEC right now. We are,
Yes.
right? The casual football fan might not even know that. People I've worked with, that I've talked to, they're like, what, you're in the same division? Oh,
Yeah.
You're like Division 2, you're Division 3, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, we're the same division. If you're going to do a group of, just split the divisions. Just make it 3 divisions, make the Power 4 a division, make the group of 5 a division,
Yeah.
and make FCS a division. Call it whatever you want, label it whatever you want, and do it a day, and then have the group of 5 playoff. If you're going to have a group of 5 playoff and we're still going to be in the same division with like the same opportunities, it's not like, so like, yeah, that's my thing. Is like, that would be like FCS splitting divisions of like, we're just going to do all the Montana and
Dakota schools.
schools.
Yeah.
And they're just in, or these 3 conferences, whatever they are, Ohio
Well,
Valley.
I think
and
that's
whatever.
I think that's the main problem, is that there's only about 20 brands, 20 schools that a lot of people watch in terms of college football.
I think less, but yeah.
And
I hear
yeah.
I think
And
15,
so
10.
and so that was something that what was it? I think it was on the Pat McAfee show. One of the guys on there was like, I don't want to watch Oregon versus JMU. And I don't want to watch Ole Miss versus Tulane. I would rather see Oregon go up against Notre Dame. And it became very clear that they don't care about the competitiveness of the game. All they care about is
Name
seeing
on the
2
chest, the logo.
brands go up against each other. Whether those 2 brands will be competitive or not does not make a difference.
Nope.
All that matters is
It's name recognition.
yes.
It's name recognition. Where you don't have in something like the NFL, you have the haves and
Which is why
have-nots.
it was completely okay to watch Ohio State blow out Tennessee, because those are 2
Yes.
brands everybody knows.
Everybody knows Tennessee. Yeah,
Yes.
they've had down years. USC is a good example. They've had down years. BYU is a good example. TCU kind of came out of nowhere. I would say TCU, a lot of people there, they were a Mount West, a group of 5 team.
WAC school. Yeah.
Right, a WAC school at one point, then Mount West, and and then they come around and like they had that Cinderella story thing, but you could tell there was that aura over it where it was just like, they don't belong here.
Correct.
Like that, and then Georgia comes, because they're not a brand. TCU is not a brand. Texas Tech is not a brand. They have a lot of money, but they're not a brand.
No.
Notre Dame's a brand. I would argue BYU's a brand. USC obviously is a brand. It's the Blue Bloods.
Correct.
The Blue Bloods are brands. Vanderbilt's not a brand. Vanderbilt's a fun story. Diego Pavia is awesome. I would watch the heck out of that. I mean, if they were in the thing, that's appointment television in my opinion. But a lot of people don't feel that way because they're like, it's Vanderbilt.
Correct. Yeah. No, and so that's, I think, the frustrating part is that as a Group of 6 school, your brand is not obviously as big as what Texas is, what Georgia is, what Bama is. So even if you're really, really good, even if you can actually compete, like Boise State did last year, even if you can compete with the top teams, people simply don't want to see you because you're not Notre Dame. You're not.
They never heard of your.
They're
They can't
not.
find. They can't find your
And look,
merch.
Boise
and,
State is as popular of a Group of 6 school brand as
they're
there
the
is
biggest by far. They're
by
the biggest.
far.
Yeah.
But even that, it's like, nope, we'd rather see something else, or some.
They have the name recognition, but they don't have, like, once they're invited to the party, they're like, who invited that guy?
And here's the other thing too. It doesn't matter how good that Group of 6 school. Anytime they are in that playoff, it's always going to be the same talking points. This is going to be a blowout. They don't belong on the field. And then anytime
they have to find a way to win the game.
Anytime that happens, in which the underdog wins, then the media and everybody, oh, it was such a great game. This team played its heart out. Or they say, well, the other team was injured. The other team didn't seem up for it. The other team was disappointed that that's the matchup that they got.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, there's always
some excuse for it.
Yep.
This is going to be a uphill battle because I feel like it's coming to a day in which we're going to get shut out.
We're definitely going to get shut out.
But
and again, I think
only if we agree to it. And my point, and I think the point is that we can never agree to get shut out.
I disagree. I think it's going to get to a point. If I think the situation this year that played out again pushes forward the narrative. Obviously, if they get blown out, both of those teams, Tulane and JMU, it's going to push it even further. But I think, again, like, it doesn't matter how close it was at whatever quarter, at whatever juncture in the game. If they cover, if Oregon covers or comes close to covering, if Ole Miss covers or comes close to covering, it's going to be a ha-ha, I told you so. And they are going to expedite this whole thing. And we're not going to get a say in the matter. Like that's what I'm trying to say. Like, it's great for James Madison. It's great for the Sun Belt Conference. It's great for the American. But like, this ruffled enough feathers where the powers to be are going to go to the table. They're going to shut us out. We're not going to have a seat at that table. And they're going to say, how do we prevent this from ever happening again? Notre Dame should never not be in the college football playoff. Like that's what they're going to say.
You talk about cupcake schedules. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah.
The two hard games, the two hard games that they had 3 difficult games. They lost 2 and they beat USC. The other games on that schedule were not that difficult of opponents.
One of their most impressive wins was Navy.
Yeah.
I mean, they blew out Navy, and like, Navy's a good team. And like, so like that was an impressive win, but like the college football landscape's not going to look at it that way. So like, but yeah, I don't think they're going to give us a choice. I don't think like we get asked and like we just don't cave. Like I don't even think we're going to have.
I guess what I think said better is that the Group of 6 presidents, or they don't need to just. They need to go down swinging. They need to go down fighting. I don't want to see them just cave to it.
They do. I think. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you're going to have to make concessions. I think you're going to have to make compromises that we're not going to like, but from this point forward, 2 Group of 5/6 teams are not getting in the college football.
Well, here's the other thing too that they've talked about.
Point blank, period.
That will probably happen the next season or 2, is they're going to expand it out to 16 teams. This has already kind of been talking about and kind of already said, right? So if they expand this out to 16 teams, I don't know if it gets expanded out farther than that. I think the Big Ten has a plan to make it 24, like the FCS level.
But then SCS and SEC doesn't want it.
And the SEC doesn't want it. The SEC wants to go, I think, to 16.
I like 24. Now, Big Ten won't want this, but like what if you did just like freaking FCS?
Yeah.
What if you did 24 and all conference champions get
That's
in?
not in their 2014 plan. Their 2014
No, of
plan
course
is
not.
like 6 for them, 6 for the SEC,
Yeah,
5.
half the
Yeah.
Big Ten gets in, half the SEC gets in, and then we'll
Yeah.
give like 4 to
But
ACC
again, it
and
gets
Big
back to
12.
our point that we made earlier, is that it's about brand protection, and it's about keeping
Yeah.
those schools fans happy, because with these inflated conferences, Nebraska is not going to ever win the Big Ten championship. They haven't won it ever
No,
since they've
they're
been in
not.
the conference.
No.
But you can sell them on, you can make the playoff. All you gotta do is be a top 16 in the conference. You can do that. You've done that a couple times.
Yeah, false hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I love the idea of 24 and then 10 conference champions, and you can seed them appropriately, just like you do in like men's basketball. But they would hate that because again, you would have those upsets, and then you would have all the like kerfuffle.
Well, you
over,
would have
like,
too many small brands that folks don't want to. The big wigs would not want to see on TV,
including the Power Four, right? Like
Yeah.
Duke would have been in it, right? And like Duke's not a power brand, not in college football.
Correct.
You know, so the powers to be look at Miami they've been, you know, under the radar or underwhelming, you know, the past several years, but they're starting to get back there. They have that big brand and that blue blood kind of heritage. So yeah, they're like, oh well, we'll put Miami in. They didn't even make the conference championship game. Virginia's not. Virginia's the same thing.
Yeah.
Virginia and Duke are basketball schools. And, you know, Virginia had a really good year. Duke had an up and down year, but somehow won a conference championship. And, you know, but like they would hate it if Duke got into the championship. They probably would have preferred it over JMU, but like, because they could at least say, like, well, they were in a power conference. But like, yeah, I don't know. I like, I'm just trying to think of like what, I guess, like what's realistic. And then what, like, the 24 is what I would like. That would be my dream.
Yes.
Like, you know, 10 conference champions, group of 5 teams. You basically have to win your conference championship game, period, to get in.
But
then you got 14,
if you go to
14 spots for everybody else.
If you go to 24, I think you have to take away the conference championship games at this point. And you do it the FCS style. Or FCS.
Then you just do it.
Whoever
they do.
FCS does not have conference championships. It's whoever has the best record in that conference.
Best record wins.
Because their
the
conferences are usually small enough to where everybody plays each other. Which is what you would have to.
The case
which is what you would.
No.
No. But you have to figure out some way, which is why they want like 6 of their teams in. Because when you're arguing if the 7th or 8th best team in the Big Ten is in, well, who really cares at that point?
Yeah, right.
But you would have to figure out a way for the group of 6 schools, how you determine who your best team is, because not everybody's going to play each other, but as big as the conferences are.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I know they're going to 9 conference games in the SEC next year. They've dropped games, right? You've seen that. We got a game against Auburn, but you saw like them drop other P4 versus P4 matchups for like group of 5 or FCS teams and stuff like that, because they don't value the out of conference matchups anymore. Like if they're going
Not really.
SEC's going to 9 conference games, so you're going to see those 3 out of conference games be like cupcakes.
Yeah.
Right. And
I seriously doubt the SEC is going to schedule Notre Dame at all, like any school.
No, they're not. And it's going to further hurt them. They're going to be forced to join a conference. They need to just join the dang, like, either ACC or Big 12 and call it a day. They can win that conference pretty much every year.
Yeah.
And they need to just do that and call it a day. Even if they finish second, they're still going to be in. You know, but yeah, anyway. Yeah, it's tough because I think everyone sees it as inevitable, writing on the wall, like we're getting closed out. I feel like this year again expedited it, and I don't know the solution. I get like 24. I would love Another thing I've thought about that would be great, that they would never do it because, like you said, it's the power struggle. It's not
Yeah.
just the blue bloods versus everybody. It's like the Ruckers and stuff of the world that
Mhm.
are like leeches. They're just hanging on for dear life of like, I'm a Big Ten school,
Yeah.
and it's like, no, you're a Sunbelt school. You're like real, like if we're really being real, like you're a Conference USA school, Rutgers. Like Maryland, you're maybe a Sunbelt school, like, but like Wake Forest, some of these others. But what I would love is like European soccer relegation and promotion.
That would
I
be
would love it.
if they would do something like that, then you can justify having some sort of a group of 6 or style
Then
playoff
you
like that.
then I would be fine with it, right?
Then you can
Then just make a separate division. So you have 3 tiers of Division 1 football. You have whatever, the power tier, the group of 6 tier, and the FCS tier, right? It's just like the
Yeah.
Premier League, the Champions League. I
It would
forget what
also
the third
force the
one is.
North Dakota states of the world to have to actually compete and move up. You know what I mean?
There
Like,
you go. So they're dominant. You get, I mean, hell, you could extend it to like Division 2 and stuff. Ferris State, you win another national championship, you're in FCS now.
yeah.
You could, but yeah, just keeping it at Division 1. You do that, yeah, you get your Dakota and Montana schools up in the mid tier, and then see how they fare against like Tulsa and App State and all that. And then okay, JMU goes on a run, App goes on a run, Tulane, UNLV, whatever. All of a sudden they're in, the Big Ten the following year. And UNLV is
That's
replacing.
great, but that's never going to happen because
It's
Lord
never gonna
forbid
happen.
you have Florida finish last and you're going to drop them to the Sun Belt. That would be a riot.
Yeah.
Florida State,
you would.
Florida State this year, or what
Florida
was it? The other
State's
day
in the
last
Conference
year.
USA.
Florida
Yes.
State's in Conference USA after going 2-10.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you could do something with it where it's like, I mean, the thought pattern would be like you get in if you really are truly that good and the competition
Yeah.
is that hard and that's why you're as bad as you are. Florida comes in and wins the Sun Belt Conference just like easily without blinking, right? And I think we both know like that's not going to happen. Like Florida this year wouldn't just run through the Sun Belt Conference.
They wouldn't have
Like, they
ran
would
through the
struggle.
American. They would have struggled in the
Yeah.
American Conference.
Yeah, they would have. So that's the thing is like, I think, and yeah, it's never going to happen because it exposes.
Yeah.
It exposes, the charade. Like it
Correct.
exposes, like, right?
Yeah.
Like what the veil they're trying to pull
Yeah,
over
it
our
exposes the
eyes here.
facade of what of
Yeah.
power conference football. And
Yeah.
and so, yeah, is Ohio State always dominant? Yes. Is Georgia, Alabama always dominant, or at least the last 10 years? Yes. But is South Carolina really that great? Not really.
No.
Is look at Florida State. They had one great year. Outside of that, for like the last 10 years, they've been pretty average.
And that's the thing is like the Big Ten and SEC, the powers to be in those, Sankey and all those, like the commissioners, you think they want those like lower tier? They don't want like
No.
the Big Ten commissioner doesn't want Rutgers in the conference. The SEC commissioner doesn't want Mississippi State and even Vanderbilt. I know Vanderbilt had a really good year, but they don't want Vanderbilt and Kentucky
In
the
terms of
conference.
brands for football, no. But
No,
it's still a bigger brand than other schools regionally in that area, right? Mississippi State's a bigger brand than, well, at one point I don't think it was, but at least now today it's a bigger brand than what Southern Miss is in terms of college football.
Yeah.
Now, if you talk about the '90s, Southern Miss was a bigger brand of college football than
100%.
both Ole Miss and Mississippi
They were.
State.
Yeah, they were.
You look at LSU, right? The whole thing, with the guys down there in Louisiana. LSU is always the biggest brand than Louisiana.
Yeah.
What was it? UCF. The whole thing about UCF, and as their rise, as they start to increase the value of their brand. Florida didn't like it. Florida sure and
Nope.
heck didn't like it. Florida
No.
State and Miami
they
didn't
shut
like
them
it,
out.
but
Yeah.
Florida was the
Yep.
one heading that one to try to shut that down.
For sure.
It's why UCF had to
For
go
sure.
join the Big 12.
Yep.
Because they weren't
were
getting
never
in.
going to let them in the SEC.
No, and they were never
Florida
going
State wasn't letting them in the ACC.
Correct.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's very interesting, I think, when you start to see the relationship between the upper administration executives of these conferences, the power brands of these power schools, and these teams that carry the weight of these conferences. And then
I wish
also
people would just get
the
comfortable
media.
with kicking teams out.
Yeah.
The media.
So
I just wish like conferences would get comfortable with kicking teams out, because you can say the same thing at like Group of 5 level, right? Like ULM has no business being a Division I program.
No.
They just don't. They just don't.
can maybe argue
You know?
Georgia State to a certain degree doesn't really.
You could argue Georgia State does. You could argue UMass. UMass has no business there. They were independent. They just joined the MAC. They're awful. They have no business being there. Kent State probably doesn't, right? Like you have countless like things here where it's like UTEP, like these schools don't belong. They just don't.
Yeah.
But then these other ones like that are big-ish brands, medium-sized brands, us, App State, JMU, Southern Miss, like they're not always good, but like, brands.
Yeah.
I think they deserve a shot, and UL Monroes of the world are pulling us down.
Correct.
And even like the, maybe not Ohio State and Michigan and that, because they're in just a different tier, but like what would be a good, like a Wisconsin or Minnesota, maybe even Penn State at this point, like those, the Rutgers of the world are pulling them down, and in my opinion. So it's just I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I just wish
that's
that
why I said earlier.
we add schools, but we never kick.
That's what I'm
schools
saying.
out.
That the group of 6 conferences get judged based on their worst athletic programs, whereas the Power Fours get judged based on their best. So you think Big Ten, you think Ohio State, you think of Michigan, right? Those are the better programs. You look at the ACC, it's Florida State. Even though they're bad, Florida State still kind of catches that headline. Miami, SEC is obvious, Georgia, Alabama. Tennessee, there's bigger brands. But if you look at the Sun Belt, well, who's in the Sun Belt? ULM, oh my gosh, they're terrible. Georgia State, that's a terrible team. They don't look at, App State, JMU, okay, there's something there. Georgia Southern, okay, the Coastal, all right. It's not fair, but it's the world
Big
that we
Ten's
live
always
in.
been really thought about as like, before the West Coast schools joined.
It's 3 teams.
The 3 teams. It was Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. Penn State was trash this year. Michigan wasn't that great, and Ohio State was good. Like that's it. And like Oregon now is joined. Okay, they're good. UCLA is trash. USC is average. And it's just
and
like,
Washington. I think Washington blew out Boise State today, but Washington is what they had when DeBoer was there. They were really good. They've been a little bit above average.
Yeah,
this year
and stuff is good. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just it's kind of a sad state of affairs. Like, it's great for this year to see it. I hope they don't get blown out, but I don't know. I just think it's going to force change sooner than we'd like. I think we're going to just get shut out completely, and it might just become like
my thinking. Thinking is that they're going to expand it out to 16 teams. The new rule that they'll come up with is that they'll still take conference champions, like the top 5 conference champions, but for it to be somebody outside of the Power 4, you have to be ranked in the top 16 to get in, right? So you couldn't have you couldn't have JMU,
and then they'll just make everyone 17.
Correct. Yeah.
JMU will be 17.
Yeah.
Tulane will be 17. App State will be 17. like because it's all subjective.
Correct.
And the committee is a bunch of ADs and stuff of these Power Four teams. It's insane.
Yes.
It's like Arkansas's AD and Ole Miss is it's like, who do you think you're going to vote for? It's just asinine to me. It's like, how does
which gets into
it's
which gets into the biggest problem of all of this, which is that this is the one playoff system in which you don't earn your way in. Right? You look at all the professional leagues, you earn your way into that playoff spot. You look at just about any other collegiate tournament, you have earned your way in. Basketball, half the field earns their way in. The other half gets selected, but usually 90% of those that get selected have played well enough that everybody agrees has earned their way in.
And it's based on metrics, available metrics, where it's like your net rating, your RPI,
and
whatever it is.
68 teams that get in, you're only really arguing about 2 at
where
most.
Here it's subjective. It's like strength of record and strength of schedule. We'll throw that out to validate our decision.
Correct.
But ultimately, we didn't move Alabama at all because even though they got blown out against Georgia, they're Alabama. And like Alabama has to be in the they have to be in the
But that's the thing. In this one, only 5 teams earned their way in.
Yep.
2 of those were group of 5s, and that's not how that's supposed to work.
Mm-hmm.
The other 7 spots, it's not about who's earned their way. It's quote unquote. It's the semantics of it, which is deserving, which is a terrible way to set up a playoff system. Who's deserving? Well, who you think is deserving is different than who I think is deserving, and who's different than
you think Notre Dame's deserving because they're Notre Dame.
Yes,
because they have gold helmets.
I think Vanderbilt's deserving because they had 2 losses in the SEC. I think Texas is deserving because they had, okay, but is it the brand or do you have something else? Well, how did they earn their way into the tournament?
Biases. It's biases. Yeah. And it's not even, there's brand biases, but there's also like it could be I want, and selfishly I did, like I wanted Vanderbilt in because I think Diego Pavia is an electrifying player. And like, I think he
came from New Mexico State.
He did. Yes, he did.
Coach from New Mexico State is on staff.
Junior college. Yeah. And then New Mexico State.
Talk about group of 6.
Yeah.
Again, it gets back to when you don't really have a way to earn your way or to have the majority or vast majority of the spots where you can earn your way in, and you leave it up to this ambiguity of deserving, then it becomes about the brand, and it becomes about like what we talked about with the Pat McAfee show and how they discussed it. It's who I want to watch, and not how well the game actually going to be, or if 2 teams deserved it. I want to see 2 brands who I recognize that intrigue me. Does not matter about
and I think if it was knowledgeable college football people, which I don't think the committee collectively is that knowledgeable. If it was knowledgeable where it was like who I want to watch, like again, as a college football fan, I want to watch Vanderbilt because of Diego Pavia. He's a fun guy to watch. In a tournament setting with high stakes on the line, I think that would be an electrifying platform for that guy to perform at, right? I don't care to watch Alabama this year. I don't care that it's Alabama. I don't care that they used to have Bear Bryant and Nick Saban. They're not a very good football team this year. They have a lot of holes. They're decently
coached. They have a terrible
coached.
Loss.
They have talent. Yeah. They have a bad loss. But again, you're only putting them in because of the brand name, not because they're fun to watch. So like they're recognizable. That's the thing is like if you put them in because they're fun to watch, then you open it up to the Vanderbilts and to the JMUs and to the Tulanes.
But that again gets into the terribleness of having deserving as the qualification to get into the playoff.
Yeah.
You need to earn your way in, and you need to have more spots that are earned into instead of somebody trying to decide who is deserving to be in that playoff.
Yep.
Right? Like, for the late 90s and through most of the early 2000s in the NBA playoffs, out of the Eastern Conference, the 7th and 8th seed was always somebody that was under 500, whereas the Western Conference
The Hawks
teams
were that for a while.
was always at least 5 to 10 games above 500 on the 8th seed. Well, did anybody in the NBA change their formats to change how their NBA playoffs are? No, because everybody was like, this is all these teams, 18 teams or 16 teams have earned their way into the playoff.
Yeah.
They needed to develop a system in
They
which
beat the teams on their schedule. They won their
12
divisions.
or 16 teams, those teams earn their way, whether that's conference championships or whether that's you finish in the top 2 or the top 3 of a certain conference. It does not matter. But the more that you have where you can play yourself into a tournament instead of being selected into it.
That's why I love the 24 and 10 champions get in. And guess what? If you say our conference is too big and I'm a Maryland, I'm never winning the Big Ten, guess what? Go to Conference USA. Maryland, you could win Conference USA and get in the tournament. Oh, well, we don't get as much TV money. That's the sacrifice you have to take. What's more important to you? Do you want the TV money to invest in NIL to finish 8th in the Big Ten, max every year?
Yeah.
Or can you win Conference USA? Like, I mean, like that would be the challenge I would put on people, because it's a money get. Like you have the leeches of the world, like that's what they're doing. They're just like suckling at the teat of the Big Ten and stuff, and being favorable off of like the Ohio States of the world, knowing that they're never going to be on the equal playing field. But it's like, well, we're just here for the money. We're just here, whatever. It's like, well, what do you ultimately want to compete for? We haven't even mentioned it. Billy Napier is going to JMU. Now, with everything we've talked about, maybe this changes after this year, but let's say just for one more year, it doesn't change. Billy Napier has a much better chance to honestly win a national championship at James Madison than he does at the University of Florida right now. He does. If we're being honest with ourselves, he does. Okay. And this is coming from someone that grew up a Florida fan and they're a mess of a program. And yes, he's somewhat responsible for that, but he has a better chance to go in and dominate the Sun Belt and get JMU back to the playoff and make a run, Cinderella run, than go through the gauntlet of the SEC schedule. He does.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that. I
think if we are honest with ourselves and open it up to what are we ultimately trying to do here? What is the ultimate goal for these teams? Is it to truly do whatever it takes to compete for a national championship, or is it just to collect a paycheck, take your beatings from the top teams in your conference?
And I think college football as a whole has got to figure out what do they ultimately want from this playoff system. Do they want teams to earn their way in? Well, if you do that, then you may have some brands and some teams in there that's not as quote unquote valuable, or may not get the TV ratings up as much as you want. Or do you want to have it more of an invitational to where you have the biggest brands that you felt like played well?
That's what I think.
So now it's really just the playoff invitation, because we know that these 12 big brands will get as much TV ratings as possible and make the most money.
If that's what it's about, then do it. Yeah. It's not about having Vanderbilt in. It's about having Michigan in, no matter how good or bad Michigan is.
But I feel like that's where
Michigan.
They're trying to sell us on a playoff that is earned, when really it's just an invitational for the big brands
showcase
to make as much TV revenue as possible.
And that's my thing, Cody, is ultimately everyone's oh, they're just trying to get this mega conference and they're just trying to do this split off. It's not even ACC and Big 12. It's SEC and Big 10.
Yeah.
It's no, it's not. What it ultimately is, they want 15 to 20 brands, period. They want 2 conferences of 10 brands over here and 10 brands over here. Those 10 teams play each other. Those 10 teams play each other. And the best 2 teams of that plays in the national championship. And that's the fun. That's ultimately what they want to get to. Notre Dame's in there, USC's in there, all the teams we've named are in there, and then the have-nots like the Vanderbilts and the whatever,
Mississippi State,
the story and stuff. Yeah, they're out.
Gone.
They're out. The entire ACC outside of Clemson and Florida State, and they're on, thin ice, I would
Clemson's
say,
almost
with just
mediocrity way out of it almost at this point.
They are. They have, and I would say Florida State has too. And then like Big 12, I would say almost has no one now. Like I don't even think BYU necessarily is in there. Texas Tech has the money, but they're not that brand. They're not that brand. And like so,
I feel like Texas Tech and BYU need like 5 more years, and then they'll be there. But
they could.
Are they
going to
give them that?
I think it's too little, too late. The powers to be ultimately want, again, like a 15 to 20 team league. We are the top echelon of college football.
Mm-hmm.
It's Alabama, it's Georgia, it's not even Ole Miss, probably not even Tennessee, to be honest with you. It's USC, it's Oregon, it's Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Texas, maybe Texas A&M. Like, again, it's 15 to 20 teams. You split it up whatever way. Maybe you have 4 divisions, and it's the NFL light.
Yep.
That's what it is. You have like 2 conferences, 4 divisions, 20 total teams, and that's your thing. And then you have a 14 playoff or 18 playoff or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Out of that. That's what they ultimately want to get to. They're having struggle because, again, you can't kick teams out. Big Ten doesn't want Maryland.
Well, that, and I think it's because you're operating as a collegiate entity, right? And so if you're, and I may be completely wrong about this, but I think if you're trying to rig the system in such a way to where you funnel money only to like 10 to 15 certain, brands or entities, that can be an antitrust situation, right? If you're systematically shutting out certain brands or certain colleges from any opportunity at all, that can be looked at as some sort of like illegal business practices. Maybe. So I think but again, I think you're right, that's where they want to get as their end goal.
Yeah.
But they got to carefully walk this narrow line of trying to show, well, we're trying to be fair and we're trying to include everybody.
I would just rather them get there sooner than later so we can just figure this out and figure out where we, like the Georgia
how we're going to be at.
The Georgia Southerners fall, because we know we're not going to be in that 20 team, whatever.
Correct.
But it's like, hey, can we be in a division with NC State? Okay. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, like, can we be in the same division with most of the ACC? Can we be in the same division with most of the Big 10 or Big 12? I mean, okay, I'll take that. Like, we never play in Ohio State. We never play Georgia again. We never play Alabama again. But we can like compete with a NC State and a Wake Forest and a Syracuse, or even like a Utah, or like something like that.
Yeah,
fine. Arizona, Georgia Southern versus Arizona State for the whatever mid-tier national championship. Awesome. Cool. I'd be fine with that, honestly. Like we're never gonna be Georgia or Alabama. We're not. We're just not. But like,
we almost did 10 years ago. Then we started making terrible head coaching decisions.
We could compete. Not like we obviously have to get better, but I think being at the best we could possibly be, I think we could compete in the ACC as it stands today. I think JMU absolutely could compete.
Well, look at SMU. SMU was what 2 years ago in the Mountain West.
Their way in.
Yeah, and
we're not taking any money for 10 years or whatever.
Yeah, and they were in the ACC championship last year. Actually had a chance to be in it this year. But obviously the tiebreaker rules didn't fall their way.
Yeah. They also lost to somebody like late.
Was it Cal? Was that who it was? Yeah, it was Cal. Like if they won, they would have been in, but then they lost to Cal.
And then Georgia Tech squandered it away.
Yeah.
Too. Because they lost their final game.
Yeah, that was the other one too. Georgia Tech blew it.
Pitt. So yeah, I mean, I that I guess that would be the ultimate dream. But like the thing is like however long it would take, even if we had a complete turnaround and started winning immediately, and the ACC accepts us or Big 12 accepts us, then they would just get shut out like within a year or two.
Yeah,
So it's like I don't know. I just kind of want to find our place. I think most fans want to compete, want to have some chance to compete for a championship, right? And this is not me saying drop down to FCS because that's ludicrous. That makes no sense. But I do get the argument of like, what are we ultimately playing for? Are we just playing for a conference championship every year and whatever
Right
bowl
now, it
game?
seems like, yeah, right now it's reality is for the conference championship and then whatever the best bowl game it is that we have, right?
But
So
JMU has proven that's not the case this year.
this year, because they took care of
Yeah.
business. If we would have
Yeah.
if we would have just kept Willie Fritz for 2016, I guarantee you we could have ended up in that New Year's Day bowl. I mean,
Yeah.
it was all there.
We
Everything
would have
was
been like a Liberty.
everything was laid out for us there to go
Yep.
do that. So no, the reality is conference championship, best bowl you get into. If you go 13-0, 12-1, you have a chance for, a seat at the big table. If you go 9-3, then you're hoping for a New Orleans Bowl or Birmingham Bowl or whatever the case may be. But yeah, reality is that that's what it is.
I'll say that our schedule next year shapes up, not that I think we're going to go undefeated, but it at least shapes up that if we did, I think you have an argument, right?
Yes.
We play Houston, and we have a much stronger schedule next year than JMU did this year.
Correct.
Point blank period. JMU played one Power 4 team. It was Louisville. They lost by 2 touchdowns. We play Clemson and Houston next year. We host Houston. We play Clemson on the road. We play Jacksonville State, who was a conference championship game runner-up. And, so strong out of conference schedule. And then, obviously have to play JMU, have to play App State, ODU, all that. So if we somehow, by a miracle, go undefeated, I think you have a strong case then. But that was one of the arguments about JMU was like they played one Power 4 team. It was a mid-tier ACC program in Louisville.
That beat Miami.
That beat Miami. Yeah.
And JMU was close up until
they were close.
Last time.
But it was just a lot of the ACC was just full of parity.
Yeah, I will also argue this too. That was what their second game of the year. Barnett was still coming off.
They were doing the 2 QB system
because they were still easing him in because of his ACL injury
and stuff. Yeah.
So even then, at that point, JMU fans were like, "Quit this 2 QB stuff. It throws the offense out of whack." And once when they stopped it, I mean, their offense has pretty much been
they never
ho
look
hum.
back.
Yeah,
they never look back. All right. Well, we're at 2:30 for the episode. We're at
2:30.
2:30 a.m. for you, Cody. So it sounds like a good time to
probably
call
stop
this one. Yeah, we'll stop. We could talk about this for a long time. Again, we haven't really done this much outside of just Georgia Southern talk, but it's a good conversation. Obviously, not going to end here. But yeah, there's just a lot of things up in the air, a lot of unknowns of where we're going to be. The sad part is we don't have a lot of control over it. Or any control over it.
We have no control over it.
Yeah, but we'll see how things play out. We'll hope for the best with James Madison and Tulane, that they have strong showings, maybe pull an upset, and that'll help our credibility of where we stand. But yeah, so until then, I guess, we'll maybe have one more episode before the Birmingham game. Once we name the defensive coordinator, we'll just kind of focus on that. And then obviously have
we hope they name a defensive coordinator before the bowl game.
Yeah. Obviously, if we don't, then we won't. But then we'll have an episode after the Birmingham Bowl, hopefully with a win, Cody. Get to 7-6, and start talking about next year. So, with that, we'll end it. No matter what conference we sit in, no matter where we sit in that conference, no matter what bowl game we're playing in, or if we're playing a bowl game at all, it's always going to end the same way, Cody, and that's Hail Southern.
Hail Southern.
Man, what a great day to